you're a Christian.
You got bullied, right? You talked all the time.
I have had
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Chud Watch. How's everyone doing? Hope you're having a great week so far. Woo! The video's been doing well. It almost has 10,000 views. The other day I was on here excited it got 2,000 in the first couple days, and then I had a big jump up, so it's almost at 10,000. So thank you for everyone who's watched my video essay. You'll be happy to know I am already hard at work on the second video. Today I spent most of the day getting clips and stuff for the second video, which is about Cameron Wilson, the fake sovereign citizen attorney. So I am already working on that. I've done some preliminary writing work with my notes. No, not the actual script, but basically writing down some themes and ideas that I think are going to be central to the video. So I'm excited for you guys to see that when it's done, but very, very happy with how the video's been doing. So thank you everyone for liking that video, sharing it, etc. It's helped a lot. Lilac Rosenberg with 40 bits says, I'm unemployed. Have you seen the drama? Hassan killed his dog with electricity. That's not even the claim that he killed. The dog is alive. What are you talking about? I'm not talking about Hassan. I don't care about any of that at all. The dog isn't dead. What are you talking? But I'm not talking about it because I don't care. I don't care. Anyway, so welcome. Today we're going to be talking about Jordan Peterson, who's apparently back at the hospital. We'll talk about that. Should be good. Should be good. It is funny hearing how rumors, like, spread in, like, the telephone game. It goes from, like, he was shocking his dog with a shock collar which I do disagree with. You should not be training your animals using shock collars. I don't think that's right. But, like, it went from that to someone being like, he murdered his dog with electricity. It's a joke? Okay, it didn't come across as one. So, anyway, today we're going to be talking about Jordan Peterson. Basically, we're going to be looking at what his daughter said about his new hospital stay, and then we're just going to look at some of the cringe stuff he's done, like the Jubilee debate and some other stuff. Maybe we'll take a look at Dennis Prager, because I guess he's been doing poorly too. Just see what these people have been up to. So, cool beans. Looks like I got a tip. Just a Peach with a tip says, I get to watch you while preparing my 3rd colonoscopy tomorrow. You and Green Guy just talk about your assholes a lot. I don't know if you know this. You don't need to do that. We don't need the reports on your assholes, like every stream. Fun fact. So anyway, let's get into it, shall we? Like, I'm thinking about, like, any tips you guys give. I'm getting real. I might get judicious about what I'm even reading, because, like, half the time it's just about your assholes. Why do we need to know? Why do we need to know? Why do you think we need to know? I don't know. Anyway, so it borderline feels like trolling at this point. Like, how often can we get Hannah to talk about assholes? Like, I don't get it. Anyway, so let's get into this, shall we? So, for those that don't know, Jordan Peterson was a, I don't really know what to call it at this point, right-wing influencer. He's had less influence in recent years, but back like a decade ago, the guy was a new hot star of the new right. He was this pseudo-intellectual who wrote books that would get young men into the right by disguising a lot of right-wing talking points into self-help material. I did a whole video series about that back in the day with his dog shit book, 12 Rules for Life. So, yeah, he's been on a downhill slope since then. He got addicted to benzos, which I'm not making fun of. Addiction is a serious issue, and I feel bad for the guy. I will point out, however, that he's an incredible hypocrite that judges drug addicts, but when he becomes addicted to drugs, all of a sudden, he needs empathy, and he deserves to be treated, you know, reasonably. Whereas in his books, when he talks about people who, for instance, smoke pot, he describes them as lazy, terrible people, basically, but he's allowed to be addicted to benzos, and we all have to be very empathetic about that. So anyway, when he was trying to get off the benzos, he decided, oh, you know, it would be easier to go through these withdrawals if I wasn't conscious. To which every doctor in America was like, sure, that'd be easier, but we're not going to put you in a coma. So, of course, Jordan Peterson, caring deeply about personal responsibility, got on a plane to Russia and went to a Russian hospital where they agreed to put him in a coma. That didn't go well for him. It damaged his brain, and he's been worse off ever since. So, now he's having further issues, which we will get into with this video. We are on a hype train, 51% to level 1 on the hype train. If you want to help support the stream, you can always gift subs, which I'd really appreciate. Bits, anything like that. Altered Undying says, he lost the worst Canadian contest. Miss Quilanius with 51 months says, I came into It's All About Your Assholes. Am I getting a colonoscopy? No, but someone else is. Skifazoa says, they must have thought talking about assholes was apropos since you're doing a stream on one. Got him. Altered Undying says, hype train go. Indeedly do. Indeedly do. So, with that hype train going, let's get started on this video. This is Michaela Peterson, Jordan Peterson's daughter. She's going to talk about what's been going on with him. Fun fact, she also used to date Andrew Tate. She used to date Andrew Tate. Not a joke. Her taste in men must have been dictated by the kind of relationship she had with her father. Anyway.
Hey guys, I have an update on my dad. I'm actually just going to read this. It's on my teleprompter.
Hydrate.
Because this is Too hard to explain off the cuff, so I wrote it out. This summer's been exceedingly difficult. Dad was in an ICU suffering from pneumonia and sepsis after dealing with a host of neurological issues this summer that we believe stem from CIRS, which is chronic inflammatory response syndrome due to decades of mold exposure.
So this is a weird thing that she and her father will do. They're into like woo-woo health, alt health stuff. So like one time he had insomnia for like a month, which was likely due to his benzo abuse that can cause insomnia. Um but instead of recognizing that, he blamed it on an allergy to apple cider. And he claimed there's a clip of this on Joe Rogan, I think. Of course it was on Joe Rogan, where he's talking to Joe Rogan and he's like, I didn't sleep for a month. I had a glass of apple cider and I was awake for 30 days, which is literally impossible. You would die. The world record is 11 days for the person who stayed up the longest, and that guy died. But anyway, so Jordan Peterson has a track record of blaming his drug-related issues on woo-woo nonsense health things because he doesn't take personal accountability for his actions, incredibly hypocritically, because that's the crux of a lot of his self-help advice, is to take, responsibility for your actions. Wow, a Republican who's a hypocrite? I'm shocked. Or a right-winger, I should say. He is Canadian. Though he tends to involve himself in American politics. Surprise. So, Jordan Peterson, I don't know this. This is speculative. I would imagine that his current health problems are not unrelated to benzo use or stoppage. I don't know. But if it turned out that all of this was a cover for the fact that he'd relapsed, I would not be surprised. Nemesaur, thanks for gifting 10 tier 1 subs to the community. I really, really appreciate it. Those gift subs are super helpful. Thank you.
We don't have a better explanation for his neurological symptoms at the moment.
So she's going to bring up neuropathy, by the way, and I looked this up. Can benzodiazepine withdrawal cause neuropathy? Benzodiazepines damage peripheral nerves, creating burning, tingling, and electric shock sensations. Benzos don't attack nerve fibers directly as other sources of neuropathy, e.g. chemotherapy, but they rewire GABA receptor activity in peripheral nerves, leaving them vulnerable to dysfunction. So I do want to point out, the fact that she brings up, like, neuropathy-like symptoms here is potentially indicative of, in fairness, a number of health issues, but it could indicate he's dealing with issues with benzos again. Again, speculative. I'm not making any claims. I'm just giving you information to work with. Bittergrin, thanks for 100 bits, 18% to level 4 on the hype train. Didn't he also engage in the woo-woo carnivore diet? I know Michaela Peterson, his daughter, did, or does, perhaps does. I don't know if she still does, but she did used to. He did? That probably couldn't be good for your health either. His cholesterol's got to be nutso.
Other than spiritual attacks.
Oh yeah, did you hear that? She thinks that her father's health issues might be spiritual attacks, aka the same Etsy witches that cursed Charlie Kirk might be cursing her father.
That we believe stem from CIRS, which is chronic inflammatory response syndrome due to decades of mold exposure.
Decades of mold exposure. Canada's just one big mushroom.
We don't have a better explanation for his neurological symptoms at the moment, other than spiritual attacks. He's been suffering for the last number of years with unexplainable neuropathy and weakness, amongst other symptoms.
Is it inexplicable, or does he refuse to explain it because it's really embarrassing and hypocritical what the likely explanation for these health issues is?
But they worsened this summer after he cleaned out his parents' basement after his dad, my grandpa, passed away.
See, to me it sounds like after his father, your grandfather, passed away, perhaps he fell off the wagon and got back into taking benzos. Because I don't know if you guys remember this. When he got addicted to benzodiazepines the first time, it was because Jordan Peterson's wife, I believe, was undergoing chemotherapy. She was dealing with cancer, which is a serious thing. And even though I don't like Jordan Peterson as a person, like, he's a human being, and the person he loves being in potentially a fatal situation is a stressful situation that no one should ever have to be in. So it's clear that when he's under stress, he has a tendency to dip into things like benzos to try and, like, self-medicate or cope with these, like, grief scenarios. And now we have another scenario where he's dealing with grief, the death of his father, and he's once again falling into symptoms we saw when he was on the benzos or trying to come off the benzos. Like, I don't know how much I expect out of Michaela. She was raised by Jordan, so I imagine her worldview is incredibly stunted and delusional and warped. But, like, other people should be able to see what's potentially happening here, right? Your dad experienced a loss, he maybe fell off the wagon, and now he's having problems again. But she can't say that, or even perhaps recognize it, because that would be devastating to her view of her father. So instead she has to come up with all these other explanations. Oh, it's mold. It's just all this mold, and it's only affecting him for some reason. Oh, it must be spiritual attacks from communists. You know, just completely deranged things to say, quite honestly. Minute left on the hype train.
We weren't able to communicate with Dad really all of September. During the end of the pneumonia, he was diagnosed with critical illness polyneuropathy, which we're hoping is critical illness myopathy, which is bad enough. That's been heartbreaking and brutal on top of everything else. But after almost a month in the ICU, he's been moved out to a less urgent floor. Praise God for that. We're still in the midst of this, but now we're seeing improvements daily. The timeline for his full recovery is hard to tell at the moment, and I'll update everyone when we have more information. My family's asking for prayers. Like I said, this summer's been exceedingly difficult and terrifying. Dad's
You thought Jordan Peterson wasn't Christian? He goes very back and forth on it. Whatever's rhetorically beneficial to him in the moment is what he says usually. Marcel Paul with 5-stream streak says evil leftist witches cast Mind Spike. It's super effective. And Green Guy with a tip says, Hannah, if I was trolling you, I would have posted my colonoscopy pictures to the Discord. We're just looking for support for something we're nervous about and trying to break down social norm barriers. You think this is the community where barriers need to be broken down in terms of talking about our assholes? I think we're there. Good luck at the procedure.
Condition is complicated by the fact he can't take most medications without suffering from severe paradoxical reactions, which limits treatment options. Like I mentioned, I believe there's a spiritual element at play here. I think a lot of people have felt it in the last few weeks and months. It's been hitting my dad and my family hard this summer.
What in the world does any of that mean? Like, it just feels like she's incapable of dealing with the real health issues her father is having, so she's adding a supernatural element to give some sort of narrative satisfaction. You know what I mean? Like, it's not very satisfying narratively if your father is dying for reasons you don't know about, or because perhaps he made some bad decisions in his life. It's much more narratively satisfying to pretend that some outside force that is the shape of your political enemies are doing this to him. That's sad. Crazy Van with 9 months. This sub-baby's name is going to be Fungi Sporson. Cashel Gladio with 100 bits says, it's almost like they tried to think, okay, we're Canadian. What's something we've got in abundance up here? Mold! And maybe magic too, if people are incredulous about the mold thing.
In August, the day Dad was brought to a hospital by ambulance, my newborn Audrey was also brought to a hospital by ambulance within hours of each other. It was unbelievable. This was the second time this summer we had brought Audrey to the hospital after she almost died from near heart failure at 6 weeks old. That is exceedingly rare and they couldn't find
Man, this family's health issues are just up the goddamn
a
wall.
cause for. She was diagnosed with idiopathic pulmonary hypertension, which seems to have resolved, praise God. But it's not something that happens. This was late July after Dad and I recorded some episodes of the call-in show together. Everything went just really downhill fast after that. Every single day this summer and now fall has been like watching a movie. Our family's relying heavily on the Lord through this and seeing miracles around us. We are. And I'm also aware that God uses everything for good. So
Jeez. I know that that's a pretty common cope that people have, but I find that thought process to be really depressing. Like, nothing bad can ever just happen. That's not how life works. Often bad things just happen, and there's, like, you can try and make good out of bad. I'm not telling you not to do that, but to act as though axiomatically all bad things inherently are to create some good is just untrue. That's not true. That is factually incorrect. The universe is a chaotic place, and we are mortal, fragile people. Things just happen all the time, and sometimes you get unlucky, or sometimes you make bad decisions, and there isn't a good thing that comes out of it, or it's not, like, teleologically, like, the reason, right? I don't get it. I don't get it.
eventually we'll see why this is happening or what comes of it.
They have a family trait of having a low con stat, apparently.
But Mom and I in particular really wanted to reach out and ask for prayers to help everyone get through this, especially for my dad and for my mom, but also for the nurses and doctors taking care of him, my brother, and family and friends who have come to support us. I miss my dad. My brother misses his dad. My mom misses her best friend and husband.
Opinion on Charlie Kirk? I don't like him as a person, but I'm not really a fan of people getting shot either, so is that fair? I did not like Charlie Kirk as a human being. I did not like the things he had to say. I think he sucked. Don't think people should have shot him. Holding on the tears is a choice. Green guy says, Republicans, I have 17 health issues. Maybe I should have 10 kids with my cousin. Sweet Lily Love with a 25 stream streak says, 26 streams. Love your content, Hannah. Thank you. 25.
Oh, man.
Why would you post this
I thought
part?
I wasn't going to cry during this.
But I posted it anyway, for some reason. Could have jump cut over this. Chose not to. I don't know why you guys are saying this is fake. I don't think it's fake. Like, is it that shocking to imagine even that a bad person cares about their parent? Like, I think she's genuinely emotional and doesn't know how to cope with it very well. And I think she's been trained by her father to turn everything into content, and I think that's why she's doing it. I don't think she's bereft of true human emotion. And if you think that, I think you just want to assume that because she's a shitty person. Shitty people have emotions, guys. It's not fake, but her affect is weird. Yeah. And it's fair to point out that she might be, like, posting it for, like, some weird idea of clout, but to just say, like, the entire thing is fake and that she, like, doesn't have emotion is, like, nonsense. That's crazy.
Well, he's hopefully recovering. And like I said, I'll keep
Posting it seems performative. I would agree with that.
people updated. He has a team of people, including myself, continuing his mission, including Peterson Academy, and will be releasing.
I'm sorry, I forgot he had his own little bullshit university thing. I hate this era where all the scams are just like bullshit courses. How much of the economy is now built out of bullshit grifter courses? Is it like 1/3%? It's gotta be something, right? With the Andrew Tates of the world.
His We Who Wrestle
I'm starting my new course, the Hannah Reloaded University. You too will learn to wear stupid costumes while being a sardonic bitch on the internet.
with God
No refunds.
tour to everyone on YouTube, which he's wanted to do for a long time. And given we think there's a spiritual element at play here, we believe the right way to fight back is to keep going and push harder, if anything. Life isn't necessarily supposed to get easier when you're doing the right thing, and I can see God's hand throughout this, but it's a lot to handle. My family agreed or wanted to delay updating everybody because a lot has happened over the last few months, and we were hoping he would recover faster and we would see bigger improvements sooner and have better news. And it was really a near-death experience for a long time. So we've been just dealing with this one day at a time. We still are. It's been overwhelming, but it looks like, and we're praying that things are headed in the right direction. He's out of the ICU. So that's the main thing. He's out of the ICU. Like I said, praise God for that.
How about you made me say thanks to the doctors, since they're the ones that did the work. Oh boy. How old is Jordan Peterson? I gotta look this up real quick. Because it feels like, wow, 63. He has had so many health issues for his age.
Thank you all for listening. Thank you for the prayers. Thank you to everybody who's reached out. I'll be back on YouTube maybe in the next month or so, depending on how things go. Yeah, that's the update. Thanks, guys.
Sheesh. Imagine having to turn stuff like that into content. What a nightmare. Fenekagami says, maybe your father's health would be better if he ate something other than just steak. Also, assuming she's not lying about medication reactions, Jordan likely has undiagnosed autoimmune disease. Those tend to cause weird reactions to meds. Maybe. That's not what my money's on, but I could always be wrong. So, let's see what else these two have been up to. We're going to look into some of what Jordan's been up to over the last months, as well as Michaela, just because they're really strange people. So, how about this? Heal the gut with traditional Chinese medicine. She's into so much alt health woo-woo.
So let's go back to Chinese medicine a little bit. Are there like a couple of things that you've brought over from your knowledge of Chinese medicine, other than looking at tongues, that you use pretty frequently that wouldn't be something most people know about?
Yeah, well, I would say a lot. I mean,
Do you think they needed a white guy to sell Chinese medicine to right-wing weirdos? Because it just kind of feels like you wouldn't expect white guy to be the guy. But like if they brought on a Chinese guy, Jordan Peterson audience would be like, I don't like that guy for reasons I can't quite put my finger on. So they gotta put generic, like, guru white guy to chill bullshit. Okay.
every diet I create for somebody is based more, it still is a combination
Ancient Chinese secret, huh?
of
What was that an ad for? Some kind of laundry detergent. Don't remember what, though. Wasn't a very good ad, I guess. I just remember the vague racism. Calgon? That's probably why I don't remember it. Is that brand even still around?
functional and Western of functional medicine and TCM. But my diet's what I recommend for people lean slightly TCM. And I mean, Michaela, I've treated like thousands of patients, if not.
Calling traditional Chinese medicine TCM with that tone and this like borderline tech bro affect makes me want to vomit.
Over 10,000. And I have found in this, using Chinese medicine in terms of those dietary recommendations is the most effective thing I've seen for helping somebody heal. Because like when I was really early in my career, I'm talking about like my first year, I put people more on like, I was like, hey, gluten free.
I've always find the health people who are super into finding the right diet interesting, because I think they're running from some, and I don't even know if they've articulated this to themselves and they know what they're doing in totality, but it always feels like to me they're operating off this like precept that like the human body should run perfectly if you can just find the right fuel. It's like they think if they can find the right combinations of foods, then their body will never get sick. It's like they imagine that all health issues in some way stem from eating something, let's use the term, quote, toxic, right? They have this idea, this sort of like non-medicine, non-scientific idea of what they consider toxic food, and what they mean by that seems to mostly be causes health issues. They think certain foods cause health issues by putting stuff in your body that shouldn't be there, and they call this toxic or toxicity, right? So it's interesting to me. I think they envision the human body as like a perfect machine, which doesn't help that a lot of them believe it was designed by God as this perfect like representation, like, you know, you're in God's image. So their idea of the human body is like borderline divine, and they just think if they find the right diet, then everything will be fine. And that's just not how bodies work. You can just have mutations, you can just catch diseases, you can have genetic illnesses, you can just have bad things happen to you, right? Your body's meat. It's all just meat and chemistry. Stuff goes wrong. It's not that you're doing anything wrong necessarily. You don't need to find the specific right foods to eat to keep you from getting ill. That's not how any of this works.
Free. So like I would work with kids in the autistic community. We'd go gluten-free, case.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, fuck this guy. Probably getting hired by crunchy moms of autistic kids so they can pretend that he's gonna, quote, fix their kids for them. Oh, yikes.
Free. And then
don't put these kids on gluten-free diets. Let them have pasta, damn it. Pasta's so good.
I started saying, okay, well that helps, but still it's not doing as much as I want. And then I got turned on to the GAPS diet. And that was a really big step forward. And I found, okay, this GAPS diet is really great for a lot of people, especially with, you know, gut microbiome issues, neurodegenerative issues, autoimmune issues. And then from
I can also name 3 different potential health type issues.
there,
Am I an expert now?
kind of move forward.
Mossloth says, getting an autoimmune condition at 17 sucked, but at least it helped to keep me grounded. I was the healthiest I'd ever been when I got sick. I worked out and had salad every day. And one day my immune system just decided that thyroid is looking pretty sus. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Into more of a
I know my mom got an autoimmune condition just like in her 40s. So here, crossing my fingers, that doesn't happen to me. I don't know what it is. I'm not in contact with her, but one time, and I guess she could just be lying about it. She's kind of a crazy person, and it was something she sent me because I'm no contact with my mom. But this was before I blocked her number. She sent me a picture of her foot rotting away and was like, I have an autoimmune condition. You should talk to me. That might sound insane. Anyone with kind of like weird parents you've cut off, you get the vibe. Anyway, one who reads, thanks for 10 months. Appreciate it.
Chinese medicine diet, which actually has a GAPS diet, is really good for still a lot of people, but it sort of taught me to treat
hella manipulative. Oh, she is incredibly manipulative, and I don't think she can contextualizes her actions that way, but like she's incredibly manipulative, and it's unfortunate. And it's sick too, because she always describes herself as a people pleaser, but she's not a people pleaser. That would be, you know, a positive spin on it. She tells people what they want to hear. That's what she means by people pleaser. She tells people whatever they want to hear. And that's not being a people pleaser. That's a different thing. Anyway.
Recommend certain foods for certain things. So I'll just to give you an example, like if I know somebody has a liver issue, I'm going to recommend they do a lot of steamed.
I don't know about that one, green guy. I'm not going to read that. I'm getting more judicious about these tips. Sometimes they're questionable.
Vegetables and a lot of foods rich in glycine like bone broth. And
our poor past baby Hannah. Why do you think I'm like this? I'm completely broken.
I'm going to, so they're just very specific foods for activating the liver. So foods that are green and sour tend to be best for detoxification, along with a little bitter. Food, if somebody has a cardiovascular issue, the best thing they can do are bitter foods, bitter and red. Those really, so think about.
Ah, yes. Famously, your health issues are caused by the color of your food. What a big brain move. What if we tried red food? Is that how the body does things, based on visible light color?
The best thing they can do are bitter foods, bitter and red.
Bitter and red. Get your beets ready, folks.
Those really, so think about tomatoes or an herb like hawthorn or pomegranate, like very healing for the heart and cardiovascular system. If somebody has a digestive system, upper GI, that's going to be more orange foods. It's going to be sweet potato and pumpkin, and even beef would fall into both the heart and the upper digestion category. And then the immune system are foods that are white and light yellow. So think about this, like when somebody's sick with a cold or flu, it's like
this is basically the four humors, right? If you're classifying all foods based on your color, you might as well just be talking about, like, oh, the black bile. We need, why aren't more people talking about the black bile? Orion Cooper, thanks for 25 months of membership on YouTube. Orion says, my partner's parents were very similar in how they would try to pull her back into their machinations. Yeah, it's sick. Sick stuff.
you give them chicken soup, which is yellow broth, or ginger herbal tea, which is yellow, or garlic or onion or miso. These are all yellow foods that activate the immune system. Pears in Chinese medicine are recommended for respiratory issues. And then let me just, and then the last one would be, and the immune issues are also tied to colon. And then the last one is hormonal issues. That you tend to recommend a lot of, or adrenal issues. That's a lot of mushrooms, which are multiple colors. A lot of
all mushrooms will solve your hormone issue. Get this guy off camera. I wouldn't trust this guy to run a Denny's. Why is he giving people health advice? What is he doing? I'm gonna be honest, this is more bullshit than I thought it was gonna be. I thought this would be like, oh, try these specific, like, herbs, and, I'd have a discussion about, like, yeah, there's, a lot of woo-woo people appropriate, remedies that are traditional, but actually, there may be some remedies that if they, have certain reasons that they whatever. No, this isn't that. This is complete horse shit. This is this asshole just trying to put the cloak of, like, ancient Chinese medicine in order to try and, like, make his bogus health claims seem legitimate. He's doing, what's the academic term? There's an academic term called Orientalism, and I only use that term because it's the academic term. It's using a word that isn't considered nice these days for pretty obvious reasons. But it's this idea that in the West we have these sort of, like, racist connotations applied to certain, let's call them exotic things. Now, that's often applied to, like, Middle East stuff. Think, like, old Arabian Nights type movies, right? That's, quote, Orientalism. But he's doing something similar here, where he's almost preying upon the stupid Western connotations of, like, ooh, mystical Asian stuff. Yeah, it's horseshit. It's the grip depends upon racism, basically. Which is a little funny, Makes you feel a little less bad for the victims, I guess, but still, not great. Green guy says, would a yellow drink work? Pissmas, there's a moratorium until Pissmas.
Purple and blue and black foods tend to be more nourishing for those.
Black foods.
So based on the condition, I use kind of foods and flavors as sort of some of the medicinal ways of treating different conditions.
Flavors are something you judge medicinal qualities by. It's whether or not the flavor's good. I don't know about you guys, but I've tasted a lot of medicine that helped me out a lot, but tasted terrible. Medicine does not often taste good. You know, just a spoonful of sugar helps the oh, nope. That's owned by the Walt Disney Corporation. Don't do that, Hannah. Don't do that. You're familiar with Mary Poppins. Fennikagami says, I think this diet obsession comes partly from individualism, but it also comes from the falling for propaganda. These people hear this talk about how healthy Asian people are and are trying to replicate that, but they don't realize those places have better health care and community that helps them improve their health. And there's less reliance on things like cars, so people are walking around more to get from place to place instead of just sitting in a chair and driving a car. The diets in general. America eats a lot of meat. Like, if we are going to talk about diets, America eats a lot of meats, a lot of salts, and a lot of sugars, more so than the rest of the world. It's one of the reasons we have a pretty big obesity problem in the United States and have so many, like, cardiovascular deaths, is because we have so much cheap junk food that's full of, like, calories and low on nutritional value. Like, it's not hard to understand, you know? Whatever.
How did that culture figure out that different colored foods impact different organs?
Well,
okay, when you say figured out, it implies that that is a true statement, and it's not that. It's not that. That's actually a justification. Are you guys familiar with breatharianism? Breatharianism, which there's a pretty good documentary about it on a YouTube channel called Atrocity Guide. If you've not seen Atrocity Guide, look them up. Breatharianism is a alt-health, calling it a diet fad is maybe not entirely accurate. It's a lack of diet fad. It's an idea that they think you don't need to eat food or drink water, and you can get all the nutrients you need from prana, or life force, the universe. They'll phrase it differently, but basically they think you can just not eat or drink and you can survive if you have high enough vibrational levels. Anyway, one of the gurus behind that got caught eating at a McDonald's because, of course, they're lying. You can't not eat food and live. So, of course, the people who push it are liars. He got caught eating at a McDonald's, and he ended up, like, wrapping that into the mythology, and he said, like, no, you don't understand. You shouldn't eat food for nutrients, but McDonald's is a place of love, and yellow foods, like bananas, or foods from McDonald's, because McDonald's has the golden arches, which are yellow foods are spiritually good for you, so that's why he was eating at McDonald's. Not because he eats food like every other human being that lives. It's because yellow food is spiritually fulfilling. Oh, the gymnastics people go through to justify things just... Wouldn't it be easier to not grift people? Like, life is hard enough. If I had to focus on grifting people and keeping track of a bunch of, like, made-up bullshit, wouldn't that just be exhausting? Wouldn't that just be the worst?
It's so different. It's definitely different from what I've learned, but obviously it seems to work. And that Linda person definitely was able to cure things. So, like, why does that work? Do they know why it works?
Yeah. So it's the very
We're about to get so much bullshit.
same reason how you found out that the lion diet works for you and what doesn't work.
The lion diet is the carnivore diet. They call it the lion diet because, again, how do I put this? They're staunchly independent and they like to imagine themselves as lions, but not like real nature lions that of course like live in prides, they live in family groups and are heavily dependent upon one another. They mean like a lion that's in like a meme. Sorry, this is maybe confusing to explain. They don't mean real lions. They mean like, you ever see like a Facebook meme where it's like, in a world full of sheep, be a lion, right? They don't mean nature lions. They mean the fictive, like, connotation lion that they've built to be like strong and independent and a predator. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? They're not trying to compare themselves to real lions. They're comparing it to some false platonic ideal of a lion that they've concocted that has a bunch of like social implications that they want to be associated with, but in reality have nothing to do with lions.
Only what you've had is we've had thousands of physicians. Imagine thousands of physicians for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Testing and trying and paying close attention to patients and working with them, doing individual
1,000 doctors isn't that many to be trying any patient, especially over 1,000 years. That's actually not very much.
millions of individual case studies and being able to dial in and figure out these patterns. I mean, one of the things that your dad talks about, I love that he talks about this, is like, well, how do you know what truth is? Or how do you know what the best decision is to make? One of the things I heard him say was, well, who are the top 5 investors in the world? Okay. Where do they overlap? And what's true of that they all say these are the financial principles that work, right?
Did you know that making the most money is tantamount to knowing the most truth? Oh God, I need to put these glasses down for a second so I can cope with the mental beating I just took from that thought. The person who's the most right is the one with the most money. Obviously, that's how that works, right? Oh boy.
Same thing with maybe, so
Freyline says, like how they use wolves as symbols of individualism, despite wolves being extremely supportive of weaker members of their packs. Yes.
So I think it's a very similar.
They mean an allegorical wolf that exists within a storytelling framework that bolsters certain qualities that they deem to be morally superior but don't have any real connection to wolves. They're using wolves as a fictive object, basically, to attach a bunch of political and personal ideas to in order to turn wolves into a symbol of specific ideas.
Thing is, they started noticing these patterns between, oh, sour activates the liver. Oh, bitter activates bile release and
none of that's true.
Clearing dampness. Oh, okay, well, all bitter...
Clearing dampness? Oh no, it is the 4 humors. You're too moist. We need to drain some of this moistness. Too moist. God, is that even predating the 4 humors? What's the one? It's like wetness, dryness. God, what are the qualities of that system? Shoot. Because the 4 humors are like black bile, blood, green, yellow bile, and pee? I don't remember exactly what they are. Something like that. But there's another system that takes into account like wetness, dryness, and then there's a few other. It might be hot and cold. Wetness, dryness, hot, and cold, and I don't remember what system that is.
Foods must do that to a degree. Well, what's the most bitter? What's the least? Okay, what happens when you have something that's bitter and sweet? Oh, well, it's...
Phlegm. I forgot phlegm. Thank you. Bittergrin says the 4 humors use wet and dry. Okay, I'm just remembering different parts of that system then.
Going to have this impact. So they were just over...
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's got to be compounds in the bitter taste?
The stupidest fucking people in the world have platforms, and it drives me nuts. Fennikagami says, honestly, modern-day woo is stupider than the Four Humors. That kind of stuff was based on observation, and some of it worked. Leaking pus from a wound can help you. Salt reduces pathogens, so using it to spiritually purify people in wounds can help. This shit is just bullshit and lies. As stupid as superstition is, it was mostly just an attempt to understand the world. This is a rejection of understanding. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. We live in a time where you do not need to come up with these, like, esoteric systems to explain the world around you, because we have developed rational inquiry and the scientific method in order to test claims. You don't need to just opine about bullshit and make it sound right. That's nonsense. What a waste of everyone's time.
That seem to activate certain parts of the body or something?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we know that sour does something, like every probiotic food ever
Yeah.
is sour.
Yeah.
I mean, and so that's very directly effective to creating a certain environment for microbes will grow. Now, in somebody...
So if I eat a Sour Patch Kid, do you think that's going to be good for my gut microbiome? I don't think that's how that works, sir.
With SIBO or certain types of histamine reactions, anyways, that's a whole
That's
different
got to
topic.
be
You don't
why
want
I
that,
can't
but
do probiotics. It's got to be something like SIBO. I've
Yeah,
thought this
yeah.
for years. It was like,
Yeah.
why can't I can't tolerate any probiotics? Like, yeah, it's got to be something like that.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, let me say that there is a type of
She's so credulous. She's just like, wow, that sounds great. Cool. And that's the end of the thought process. Oh, no.
probiotic that's less prone to being sour. And they're called soil-based organisms. They're known as spore-forming bacteria. And so people, not always, but people with SIBO or microbial issues that have histamine reactions, they tend to do better than the...
Who's she? She is Jordan Peterson's daughter. Amber says, wet, dry, hot, and cold is the classical elements. Fire's hot and dry, air's hot and wet, water's wet and cold, earth is cold and dry. The absence of all qualities is the fifth element, called aether or spirit.
So with the soil-based organisms like Bacillus subtilis.
That's also, I think, in the classical system, that's one of the reasons they thought, like a rock. You drop a rock. Why does a rock go down? They didn't have a concept of gravity or anything, so they said that, like likes to be with like, and the earth is like, it's like cold, and it's dry like rocks, so rock wants to go with other rock.
Than they do the food-based probiotics, because the soil-based tend to have less of an affinity towards sour. Part of the sourness helps them survive and grow, versus the soil-based organisms don't really need that. And the soil-based organisms are transient. I mean, they just pass through your system. Some of the food-based will have more of an impact.
New Shine Dark, thanks for 4 months with Prime, says Kermit the Frog family. So funny.
On hosting and living in your
She did date Andrew Tate.
system.
Interesting. So that's like Spore Biotics,
Yeah.
that company? Okay. Cool.
Well, it's not a, there is probably a company, but it's just a type. It's a type of
Oh,
probiotic.
Spore Biotics is a type.
That a few companies will include in their products.
Interesting.
Do you think she invites this guy on, or does he, like, pay money to come on and promote his bullshit? Because, like, she has over 1 million subscribers, although this only has 20,000 views. That doesn't seem right. You have over 1 million subscribers and you only have 20,000 views on this? Hold on. How many views does she normally get? The Jordan Peterson video has a ton of views, of course. But then, like, 48,000 views. This one has 100,000 views. That's closer to what I would expect to someone with 1.3 million subscribers. But, like, 20,000, 20,000. There's another 100,000. There you go. 18,000, 14,000. Little all over the place.
So, okay, let's talk SIBO for a bit, because I feel like there are quite a few. I'm pretty sure that's one of my problems. I know that my mom just did a SIBO treatment
Yeah.
and fixed her crazy things have been happening with her. Like the lion diet put her arthritis into remission. She was doing well.
I used to have arthritis, but then I just ate a bunch of fucking meat, and that fixed it for some reason.
But her digestion was never good. We're like, well, something's still going on with gut. And she's done this
Yeah, maybe eating only meat and like no fiber isn't good for your digestive system.
protocol. And one of the treatments that helped was SIBO treatment.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? It's more the natural route for SIBO.
Yeah, so for SIBO, and this is where the way that I treat patients, I try and be incredibly holistic in terms of also looking at the mental and spiritual aspect of the person. And so what I found in SIBO patients, and this goes back to Chinese medicine, is there
Shocking!
is a component of stress that is very highly related to SIBO in most people. This isn't across the board, but I would say it's the sort of person who is, you're on all the time. You just never switch it off. And that could be even doing good things, but it's just like constantly like, moving forward. And so I think in SIBO, that exacerbates SIBO, is that not turning it off. And so like, for instance, one of my biggest recommendations is when you eat, don't look at a screen, don't have anything. I want you to take 30, 40 an hour to eat your meal. Like I want you to sit there and chew.
I've had multiple
relax.
podcast guests. They're like, how long do you chew?
Yeah.
It's like not very long.
Oh yeah, it's big for SIBO. Taking deep breaths, seeing what's going outside, having a conversation but it's like slowly eating, chewing, and creating a lot more of those enzymes via your saliva. That is one really, really big thing that helps. Licorice root extract before meals. You can do DGL. That is one of the ancient recommendations in TCM for helping with SIBO over time. And then, we're in a world today that's just, let me say the other thing would be simple, smaller meals. Eating big meals is hard on the digestive system. Doing astragalus tends to be good, but doing they would tend to recommend a white rice, like a jasmine or basmati, with something like fish, like just something that moves through your system more quickly, would tend to be recommended too, or that's what I would recommend for somebody with SIBO. And then there are going to be other things. I would recommend a soil-based organism probiotic, none of the, I wouldn't recommend any of the more food-based like the...
Okay. We can move on. I think I've had enough of the diet thing. Let's look at her insufferable father. I just know this is going to hurt me. This is from 2 months ago. This is him doing his, oh god, why am I blanking on his name right now? Collective unconscious, Young. This is him doing his, Jungian bullshit. And look, Young had a lot of interesting and good things to say about human psychology. The collective unconscious is not one of them. In my opinion. And it's because it turns into conversations like this.
So recently I recorded some analysis of children's stories once again. I had done this years ago with Pinocchio and the Lion King. That was part and parcel of the lectures that I did at Harvard and at the University of Toronto. More recently, I recorded an analysis of Snow White, the Grimm's brother version, and also of Hansel and Gretel. I'm going to continue that today with a more recent book, a much more...
I should point out, if you don't know what Jung's collective unconscious hypothesis was, it's basically the idea that all human thought has base archetypes that we base our ideas off of. And that these archetypes inform all of our stories, all of the narratives, not just in the literal, like, the stories we tell each other sense, but in the way we organize how we see the world, right? The idea that, like, how human beings view and contextualize their father, not just, like, their literal human father, but the concept of a father, or your father, or mother, or an enemy, or an obstacle. These things can be conceptualized as archetypes that are universal. Now, there's some truth to this, and I would argue that it's more cultural in nature and taught through our cultural, how do I want to put this? Through cultural osmosis, when we are raised, the stories we are told, those implicitly imbue within us these like archetypes, and these things can be different based on the culture in which you grow up in. But Jung basically thought it was universal, and after Jung, a lot of woo-woo crazy people turned it mystical. Not just like our brains are very similar and therefore the archetypes that we develop to understand our world are the same, but some people literally believe that the collective unconscious is like an esoteric realm that exists somewhere, like out in the ether, and that like that's where all the ideas exist. It's bad. It's bad.
A recent book called There's No Such Thing as a Dragon, the story and pictures by Jack Kent. I used to read this to my Maps of Meaning class often as the first lecture because it touches on themes that are very relevant to a narrative understanding of the world, a description of the structure through which we see the world.
He does it. This was 2 months ago, by the way. I don't know if they filmed it 2 months ago, but it did release 2 months ago, and he sounds rough. He sounds very rough compared to how he used to sound, more so than just aging.
Is a story, and the motifs in stories represent cardinal elements of all of the environments that we encounter. And I'll try to make that clear today in the discussion of There's No Such Thing as a Dragon. I want to show you a dragon that I have in my office here.
Wouldn't it be incredible if it did pan and there was just like a full, real dragon? I don't know what I would do if that's what happens. I think I wouldn't have anything snarky to say.
This is a sculpture from Mexico, which I got several years ago.
That looks more like a depiction of Quetzalcoatl, but okay.
It's a circle, basically, and it has the head of a bird.
I don't know if I would describe that as a circle, but okay.
Kind of a monstrous bird, and it has wings like a dragon or like
J.P. Pete's dragon? Oh, that's a better joke.
a bird, and it has a snake wrapped around the bird's neck, but it's an analog of a dragon. There's a book that I found very useful in my analysis of such things called An Instinct for Dragons by a man named David E. Jones. And David Jones offers essentially an evolutionary explanation for the concept of dragon. He described a dragon as a tree, cat, snake, bird, like an amalgam of the features of tree, cat, snake, bird.
What are we even talking about, man?
And those, and of course, there's the element of fire as well. And so those are all
The element of fire. Because fire breathing dragons. And all dragons breathe fire. We all know that. There's no other kinds of dragon.
elements of predator, you might say. The kind of predator that have been preying on us or our evolutionary ancestors.
Orion Cooper with a $2 super chat says, Jordan, for the last time, you're banned from TNT. And you know what annoys me? Talking about, like, the archetypes that we have in stories and the connotations that those archetypes draw on, that's interesting, and I think that's fair to talk about. The problem is that Jordan Peterson and people like him treat these things, these concepts, as, like, reified objects, and they act like the thing they're talking about is, like, objectively true instead of what it really is, which is just kind of, like, general opining, right? And there's nothing wrong with opining necessarily. I do it all the time. I'm doing it right now. But, like, you gotta take it for what it is. A lot of words coming out of your mouth, you know? He's not bolstering this with, like, there's not even a cite. You can't cite this. He's just opining about the human concept of, like, a monster, generally, and trying to reify it into, like, an objective thing, which it is not. It's an ephemeral concept shared between 8 billion living people.
For millions of years, are...
Have I seen his dragon rant with Alex O'Connor and Dawkins? I actually have it over here. I think it's in this video, so we might watch that later.
We had tree-dwelling ancestors 60 million years ago. And so the dragon is an amalgam of the motifs of predator. That's a good way of thinking about it, or of danger. And the dragon battle is a narrative condensation.
I would also like to point out that that's an incredibly, like, Western idea of a dragon. This is what I'm talking about when we're saying that these things are culturally contextualized. So he's talking about a dragon like a UK European knight in shining armor story where you have a knight that goes and kills a dragon to save a village or a maiden, and he gets the dragon's gold, right? That's entirely something that exists in, like, Western Europe and the Americas because of our historical connection to Western Europe. But, like, if you look at somewhere like China, their cultural ideas and the connotations that are attached to dragons are entirely different. So you cannot apply this same idea to every human conception of a dragon. It's pseudo-scientific bullshit. It's pseudo-psychology. And psychology is already, as much as I love psychology, when you get to the fringes of it, it gets fuzzy at best. So it just pisses me off that people take this guy seriously. Amber said Nazis were really into an essentialist interpretation of the collective unconscious. Basically, the reason Germans are superior is because they have a superior collective spirit. This also explained, quote, Jewish degeneracy, end quote, as well as queerness and the like. They claimed their enemies were spiritually ill. Yeah, not a great way to think about the world.
Of the drama of human beings, the fact that we have to encounter the terrible, predatory unknown and to try to gather what's valuable that's hidden in it and to transform ourselves in that pursuit and to make our way forward as heroes. And part of that is the ability,
as Tina Turner once said, we don't need another hero.
To pay attention, to careful attention to the things that we might want to
Now I want to watch Beyond Thunderdome.
Put aside and avoid. And that's what this little story is about. Billy Bixby was rather...
Are you allowed to have a different opinion in this chat? You're allowed to have a different opinion. Is the opinion that you hate trans people? Because that's not an opinion. I mean, I guess it's an opinion. That one's not allowed, though. Depends on what you mean, I guess. If you just mean, like, I have a general different opinion about this, absolutely, of course. If you're gonna use that as a guise for, like, talking shit, well, that's a different thing. But feel free. We can talk about something if you disagree. That's fine. Although I will say I'm not a debate bro. I'm not doing that. I don't find that fun. I find it obnoxious. I think it makes everyone look like an asshole, so I don't want to do that. But you can absolutely disagree.
Surprised when he woke up one morning and found a
Fennikagami with 40 bits says, this shit is bullshit because when you look at dragons and vampires, most cultures have those, but they're very different east and west. They look different, have different powers, have different roles. Same thing with other monstrous animals. Foxes can become literal gods in Shintoism.
Dragon in his room. It was a small dragon, about the size of a kitten. Well, so let's delve into the idea of dragon again. So the book's title is There's No Such Thing as a Dragon. And whether or not something is real depends to some degree on your level of analysis. So obviously bears are real and lions are real and Komodo dragons are real and crocodiles are real and fire is real. Is an amalgam of all those things real? Well, it's real in the way that an abstraction is real. It's real in the way that the word predator or danger is real, right? Because there's many diverse phenomena that are aggregated together in the notion, the conceptual notion of, say, predator or danger. But
Steve with a Q with 60 months. Thank you very much.
that has very little to do with the reality of the concept. Dragon is as real as predator. Let's put it that way. Now, the dragon concept is broader than mere predator because the dragon really stands for everything that lurks in the unknown as
Is he going to analyze the very hungry caterpillar next? I hope so. As it turns out, the caterpillar is a communist!
such. And everything would be the danger that
A chaos communist.
it's part and parcel of the unknown, which is the place that the predators aggregate, let's say, but also the promise. So out in the unknown, which is the land of dragons, there are terrible dangers and great benefit, hence the treasure that's associated with the dragon. And the dragon
Green Guy says I like talking shit to Hannah. Ha ha ha.
contact story is, the dragon fight story is really
Overthought says no, the real communists are in if you give a mouse a cookie.
among the oldest narratives that
If
we
you give a mouse a cookie, he'll demand that the means of production be seized.
possess. So it's an ancient motif, and it makes itself manifest in all sorts of stories. Billy Bixby was rather surprised when he woke up one morning and found a dragon in his room. It was a small dragon, about the size of a kitten.
Was this book made with AI? Like, we're in that weird era where, like, it's hard to say what the fuck is AI, because this just looks AI-ish to me. I'm not sure, though.
So, why is that relevant? Well, Billy wakes up and there's something that's different about his environment.
Gross.
And the difference makes itself manifest as something that's tiny to begin with, right? And he's attending to it. These are questions that take cultures thousands of years to answer. During Answer
Gotta do an ad for the Daily Wire.
the Call, as we hope on, the dragon wagged its tail.
I wonder how Daily Wire Plus is doing. I'm guessing not great.
The dragon wagged its tail happily when Billy patted its head. So there's a moral already in
Are we assuming people with PhDs are a dumb person, smart person? Do you think that every person with a PhD is right about everything they say? I'm not talking about people with PhDs. We're talking about the very specific Jordan Peterson, a person with a long history of saying incredibly ridiculous and outright incorrect things very publicly, where he has been mocked for it, rightfully so.
in the story there, which is that this little boy wakes up and something unexpected occurs, and it's in principle he could pretend it wasn't there or he could be afraid, but he interacts with it voluntarily, and in consequence,
It was published in 75. Okay, not AI then. That's a shame that it's aged in a way that makes it look like AI. It's a bummer.
this dragon is pleased. Billy went downstairs to tell his mother. "There's no such thing as a dragon," said Billy's mother, and she said it like she meant it. Okay, so Billy's awake, and so he's playing the role of hero, and he's detected something anomalous and different, and he, in his juvenile, heroic manner, has decided to interact with it voluntarily, and that's already tamed it to some degree. And now he brings it to the attention of the authorities. And the authorities essentially have already decided how the world is constituted, and their verdict is that there's no such thing as a dragon. And Billy's mother is insistent upon this. Billy went back to his room and began to dress. The dragon came close to Billy and wagged its tail. But Billy didn't pat it. If there's no such thing as something, it's silly to pat it on the head. Okay, so what's the psychological significance of this? Well, there are things that aren't to be talked about in many families and in many households. And the attitude that reigns in households like that is that if we just pretend that the terrible thing doesn't exist, that it will go away. And that's a form of willful blindness. I can tell.
Like Jordan Peterson ignoring his benzo addiction until he had to go to Russia to get himself into a coma. I'm just saying he's a hypocrite, guys.
Tell you a story about willful blindness. So, in the Egyptian
So much for the tolerant left, am I right, Netstorm?
creation myth of Horus, Osiris, Isis, and Seth, there is a characterization of willful blindness as the cardinal danger that presents itself to the state. So here's how the story goes. Egypt is founded by a god hero named Osiris. And Osiris is a great awake hero, like Billy, when he was young, and he is the force or the spirit or the process that establishes the state. He ventures out into the unknown wilderness and renders it habitable, like God does in Genesis at the beginning of the biblical story. Now, Osiris establishes the state and becomes the ruler god of Egypt, but he has a brother named Seth, and Seth becomes Satan through the Egyptian Coptic Christians as the centuries progress. And Seth is the dragon-like force, you might say, that always emerges to threaten the state. And Seth wants to overthrow Osiris.
Why are we on Egypt now? He's trying to draw broad comparisons between different stories, right? He's comparing this children's book to Egyptian mythology in order to draw a comparison and say that these are fundamentally the same archetypical ideas being utilized in different contexts. It's Jungian collective unconscious stuff.
Osiris, so that he can become a ruler. And Osiris,
basically, he opines in a pseudo-intellectual matter that makes him sound smart to people who are dumb.
is willfully blind.
Amber says, his understanding of Kemetic religion is bad, just saying as a history person. I'm shocked.
And so he turns a blind eye to the
Marcel says, funny enough, Seth is associated with the wilderness and desert. It's literally the opposite of what he's saying.
machinations of his evil brother, and in consequence is overthrown by Seth. And so, why is that relevant?
Hydrate.
Well, it's because malevolence can make itself manifest in unexpected forms in your personal life, in your family life.
All right. Let's do the Dawkins thing. People said it was real bad, so let's take a look at this. Oh, Jesus. Although this is just about... Is this the whole thing? This is already in the middle of the thing. When does Jordan Peterson talk about the dragons?
The dragon fight story is explore the dangerous unknown, discover the treasure that revitalizes the community. There's no difference between that and the science that you practice.
Yeah, Dawkins sucks, unfortunately. Phoenix, what do you want me to wear for the hats off?
They're the same thing.
What do you think
It's
of
the
that, Richard?
same story.
I don't know what to make of that. I mean,
Cat ears? Alright, let me see if I can find them. I know they're around here somewhere.
you say they're the same story. You've analogized the dragon fight to
Well, how many
fighting
dragons have you
Satan.
overcome in your life?
I'm not interested in dragons. I'm interested in reality.
Did you say how many dragons have you come in your life?
Fighting
Dragons have you
Satan.
overcome in your life?
The dragon fight to
I would imagine overcome, it just doesn't come out.
Well, how many
fighting
dragons have you
Satan.
overcome in your life?
Oh.
I'm not interested in dragons. I'm interested in reality.
Okay, so let's okay. So I read a book a while back that described the biological reality of the dragon. Say, well, there's no such thing as a dragon. It's like, okay, is there such
Lindsay Pinzer, welcome. Thanks for following.
a thing as a predator?
Of course.
Well, that's a meta category. What's the category of predator?
That's a meta category. Again, he's just a pretentious douche.
Bear, eagle, if you're a primate. Fire? Is fire a predator?
No.
Well, it's complicated because a fire...
Like, it's like he thinks he's into... All you would have to say is, a dragon is a metaphor for a predator and some other things. He intentionally tries to be overly verbose to make it sound like what he's talking about is incredibly complicated, and it isn't. Like, you can say, dragons are culturally a metaphor for danger. They're a metaphor for predators. But he doesn't do that. He's got to overcomplicate it because he needs to sound verbose so idiots think he's an intellectual. Drives me goddamn nuts. Oh, Lindsay, thanks for subscribing with Prime. I really appreciate it.
Kills you. Okay, so is there a worse predator than serpentine, flying, fire-breathing reptile? Is that not the imagistic equivalent of predator? So in what way, if predator is real, in what way isn't dragon real? It doesn't take that much imagination.
You could say it's a metaphorical concept that exists in sort of the cultural ether. Now I'm talking like an asshole. But that's it. It's not real. It's a concept. It's a concept that exists.
To see the identity. And then wouldn't the fundamental task of edible primates be to figure out how to overcome the dragon forever?
I don't know why you say dragon. I mean, we have lions, we have tigers, we have saber-tooths, we have
Why not
tyrannosaurs
abstract?
out there.
Right, but why not abstract? Because it's for the same reason that we have the term predator. Like, we have the term bear, lion, Komodo dragon.
Nice to meet you too, Lindsay.
Well, you make an amalgamation. You say, well, the relevant set of features is an image. Well, what's the image? Predator as such. What's the image of that? The dragon that never disappears. And then there's...
Jesus Christ, it just doesn't mean anything practical. Normal Gamer Gal with 24 months says, yay, 2 years. Can't believe it's been this long since I joined Twitch to watch you clown on meme stock guys when Bed Bath & Beyond went bankrupt. Wow, has it been that long? How exciting. 62% to level 1 in a hype train. If you want to help out the train, you can use bits, subs, or gift subs.
There's a twist on that, which is so cool. It's so interesting because you can imagine rabbit mythology, which would be something like predator appears, freeze. But that's not the human story. The human story is predator appears, there's a treasure somewhere. Right? That's a completely different.
Netstorm, it feels like you're fishing for validation. Obviously, the people here don't like Jordan Peterson. We are, like, literally on the face of it here to basically talk about the things he believes, make fun of them, and generally just hang out and have a good time. I don't know what your goal is here. I'm just gonna put that out there. What do you look to achieve? You know we don't like Jordan Peterson. You know we mock him. You know we think he's a pseudo-intellectual. Like, what do you expect to have here in terms of a conversation? If you like Jordan Peterson, that's your prerogative. Go about it. That's fine. But we're not going to validate your like of him. It's not going to happen. And we're not going to take him seriously just because you do. We are going to mock him. That's just is what it is. I've been mocking Jordan Peterson for a fucking decade. I basically did the video series mocking Jordan Peterson. It is what it is. I promise, it's fine. I'm sure there's plenty of communities that like Jordan Peterson that you can go and hang out in. That's fine.
Pathway of evolutionary significance, like the way that we construe the world isn't freeze like
This guy's been around for a decade. He got his start in terms of, like, notoriety because he lied and misrepresented Canada's Bill C-16 and claimed that he would be put in prison for not respecting trans people's pronouns, which was always a lie. Jordan Peterson is a lying political hack that goes out of his way to attack trans people because he doesn't like them. And that's how he got his career in sort of the public space. Fennikagami says, a reminder that this asshole trying to abstract dragons into existence has a meltdown over the concept of gender being a social construct and that trans people are real. Yup.
Predator. It's like, oh, there's a predator. Maybe there's something valuable lurking in our conflict with it. You know, our sticks and our spears that enable our fragile bodies to stand up against the dragons of the world.
So a dragon is a pictorial representation of the abstracted concept of a predator.
Yes.
As you say, we already have the term predator. And so it might be useful in art, in narrative, to, I mean, you can't paint an
We
abstraction.
had the image way before we had the word.
Sure, okay, but
No, but that's a seriously important thing to
I think a lot of my problems with Jordan Peterson would come down to, in a moment like this, if I was in front of Jordan Peterson, I would go, so what? So what? What is your point? He's opining to no particular end. It's like he's got something in his head where he's got an idea he's trying to articulate, but he has no direction for it. What is the point you are trying to make, sir, about this idea of the metaphorical dragon? What's the point? What are you getting to? Minute left on the hype train.
understand.
But now we have the word. We have the word predator. And maybe if we were doing art, maybe if we were all going to sort of draw a picture or tell a story, and we wanted to invent a story to give our children a good moral message, we might invent this dragon or use this dragon as...
Well, we do always. We
Sure.
do it continually.
Exactly, we do.
We do it with Harry Potter.
But-
We do it with The Lord of the Rings. We do it.
Great, yes, we have stories, and those stories employ symbols and concepts that have cultural connotations. Again, so what? What do you think this is like a? But you people don't know this. Like, what is the point?
with the Avengers.
when you
there's no
say-
escaping from
But
it.
when you say the biology of a dragon, you must understand how that can be misleading as to the enterprise that you're engaging in, because we're talking here about narrative, we're talking here about art, we're talking here about representations in
I
literature.
don't think the category of dragon is any less valid than the category of lion.
Any less biological?
Well, it depends on your level of analysis.
No, it doesn't. You pseudo-intellectual hack fraud.
We have the term predator, which implies that all predators have something in common, because otherwise we wouldn't have the term. It's like there's no reason to assume.
Right. What predators have in common is that they predate upon other animals for their primary form of sustenance. That's a definition, right? We have that definition already. We don't need an abstracted metaphorical construct to be the main central feature of the idea of predator. Certainly, again, like the other guy, the moderator said, I forget his name, I'm sorry, I've seen him before, but I forgot his name. Like he said, the depiction of a dragon can be useful metaphorically in storytelling, like to stand in for the concept of predator, but it is not what a predator is. It's a metaphorical idea that we sometimes utilize fictively. It's not a thing that needs to be central in our understanding of the concept of predator just because it's used in stories like that. It's weird. Overthought says, when he eventually dies, his headstone needs to read, "Here lies Jordan Peterson." Well, that depends. Alex O'Connor is his name, thank you.
Ontological priority for the category of lion over the category of predator. Like it depends on all that would determine which of those terms should be used is the purpose towards which the conceptualization is being directed. Like if you want to identify a particular class of predator, well, then lion is a good term.
You would say that lions are an instantiation of this bracket term of predator.
Well, and I would also say...
Would you
look,
therefore say that a lion is an instantiation of the bracket term of dragon?
Yes. Yes, because, see, because we're not only fact-oriented creatures, right? It actually matters to us whether we get eaten.
Jordan Peterson rants like a homeless person on a street corner, but he's wearing a suit, so people are, for whatever reason, obligated to take him seriously. That's how I would describe late-stage Jordan Peterson. Now, earlier Jordan Peterson isn't quite as much like that. Earlier Jordan Peterson is a con man and a liar, lying in order to hurt trans people and further his public life. But especially late-stage Jordan Peterson, I don't know what happened. He started smelling his own farts. He started buying his own bullshit. And it turned into this, like, Ouroboros, like, loop of him eating himself And it's just this nonsense. It's like listening to the rantings of a drug addict. It's crazy. I said that before I remembered he has had issues with benzos. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe maybe we literally are listening to the rantings of a drug addict. I don't know.
Like it's one thing to lay out the nomenclature of the animal kingdom, but it's another thing to remember that predators can eat you. And then it's another thing, and this is very interesting, and it's relevant to that story of the bronze serpent. It's like, what do we want to teach our children? Well, to identify predators, obviously. Well, what do we want to teach them more profoundly? What attitude they should take towards the eternal fact of the predator. And the attitude they should take is something like the courage to voluntarily confront and not to run away and not to hide and not to freeze.
Netstorm asks, does it bother everyone here that so many people listen to Jordan Peterson, trying to get answers as to why there's so much disdain for someone they've never met? All right, so let's assume that you're in good faith right now. I'm not like a huge fan of the fact that a lot of people like Jordan Peterson, or at least used to. He has less of a following these days, even in right-wing circles, especially after that terrible Jubilee debate that made him look deranged. But I don't know what you mean. Like, does it viscerally upset me? It is what it is. Lots of people listen to people I don't like. Donald Trump is the president, for fuck's sake. Like, it doesn't bother me on a consistent level. But yeah, I wish people saw you as more of a grifter. And as to why there's so much disdain for someone I've never met, it's because Jordan Peterson actively started and continued his career harming trans people and muddying the waters in regard to rights for trans people, and became a right-wing muckraker. He's a grifter. He's a flim-flam man. That's why I don't like him. I think he's actively damaged the discourse and political discussions as a whole through his entire career. That's why. He's also just kind of an asshole, which doesn't help. Fennikagami says, here's what I think. Young's idea spoke to Peterson on some level, and he finds an injustice that he's not taken seriously. He's been on a mission to convince people those ideas are good because he understands how scientific consensus works. This pseudo-intellectual BS is likely how his thoughts work, but the fact is he's never been intellectual, just good at convincing people, including himself, that he is an intellectual. Amber says, one of the weirdest things about Jordan is how disdain for what he calls postmodernisms. Real postmodernism is a legitimate academic school of thought originating in the arts and social sciences, but Jordan's imagined postmodernism is a quasi-spiritual, pseudo-intellectual idea that is unstable due to its own incompetence. In reality, those terms describe Jordan more than they do anything on his left, who he throws the term postmodernist at as an insult. Yeah, he uses stuff like cultural Marxism in the same way that Nazis used cultural Bolshevism. Basically, he just looks at any progressive or even liberal ideology and says that it's degenerate and going to lead to communism and gulags.
And not to casually demonize, but to assume that in the combat with the eternal predator, an eternal treasure might be found. And that's exactly what you do, whether you know it or not, when you teach a child to be courageous. And we know from the psychological literature that generalizes. And I do think it's identical with the mechanism of learning in human beings, because kids, us, we always learn on the edge. You know, in your own life, and I don't want to be presumptuous, but no doubt there have been situations where you've been battling to have your ideas distributed, even to modify your own conceptions when you had something new to learn. That's a sacrifice. You have to kill your stupidity so that you can move forward. That's what happens in the story of Abraham, by the way, when he makes sequential sacrifices. So in the story of Abraham, you tell me what you think about this, because it staggered me when I understood it. Abraham is a protected person. He doesn't have to lift a finger. He lives in the socialist utopia. He's got everything
What?
Delivered hand to mouth.
Did he just say Abraham lived in a socialist utopia? Okay. I guess I remember the story of Abraham very differently.
He's at home till he's 70. And God comes to him as the voice of adventure, which is something remarkable to see, and says, you leave your zone of comfort and go out into the world. Have your terrible adventure. And Abraham says yes. And then a series of cataclysms occurs around him, just like it does in every adventurous life. And every time an episode concludes, he makes a sacrifice. Why? To get rid of what's stupid and old about him, so that he can progress and transform. And that happens to such a degree that he gets a new name, which means he's changed so dramatically he's not even the person he used to be. And that's a consequence of following that adventurous pathway. And that's all coded in the story.
I think we just have to agree that we have different kinds of minds. And you're interested in symbols, and I'm interested in facts. I mean, let's take predators. I mean, predators, I'm fascinated by predators. Predators are, the relationship between predators and prey is an arms race, an evolutionary arms race. And whenever you see a really complicated, beautifully designed piece of biology, what Hume, I think, one of Hume's characters called things that ravish into admiration, or all who contemplate them. This is almost certainly the result of an arms race, probably between predators and prey, could be between parasites and hosts. Mm-hmm. And so if we are talking about adaptations to just the climate, woolly rhinoceroses grow hair because it's getting cold. That's relatively boring. Mm-hmm. But when it's an adaptation to a predator, then you get an escalation of adaptations by prey, which are countered by predators, which are countered by prey, so you get a gradual escalation. Now that's interesting. That explains why you have animals that run fast, why they have keen sense organs, why they have teeth, why they have sharp teeth, why they have behavior patterns that either protect them from predators or, if they're predators, help them to catch prey. The idea of the arms race is the thing that grabs me, the arms race between, nothing to do with drag.
Imagine how gravely a podcast with Jordan Peterson and RFK Jr. would be. What do you mean by brain? What do you mean by worm?
Okay, well, so fair enough, right? And I share your appreciation for that remarkable, the remarkable phenomena that emerge in consequence of that. Okay, so let's take the idea of arms race. All right, so here's how I would construe what I said in what I think might be your terms.
Okay.
All right, we transformed the battle with the predator into a meme battle. We abstracted it so that we could figure out how to deal not with a predator, but with the class of all possible predators. Right, exactly. And the appropriate way to deal with the class of all possible predators is something like a meta-ethic. It's a stance that, let me give you an example of this. We actually know something about this psychophysiologically.
I would ask Jordan Peterson, what is the practical purpose of this rambling? What are you trying to get across? In like a single paragraph, distill to me, what is the practical purpose of what you are saying? Like, what is the use case of this? Because it just feels like you're verbally masturbating. It just feels like you're trying to say words because you like the feeling they have on your tongue.
And you can look at it spiritually or physically, and it doesn't matter. So, for example, if you take people in psychotherapy and they're accidentally exposed to something they're afraid of, they have a stress response that's damaging if it's sustained, and they become more frightened. But if you expose them to exactly the same stressor, and they do it voluntarily, they manifest an entirely different pattern of psychophysiological.
Do I actually not know what, or am I doing this as a bit? Wait, what?
Logical activation. Okay, and it's a stance of challenge, right, and not of fear. All right, and so one of the things that you're doing in psychotherapy when you get people to expose themselves to, you could say predators, because that's an accurate way of dealing with it, is that you get them to shift into a mode of voluntary confrontation instead of prey-like apprehension and retreat. And what they learn from that is that they can embody that pattern, which I would call a spirit metaphysically. They can embody that, they can practice it. It's also the case, there's some evidence that there's epigenetic consequences of that. If you practice that process of voluntary confrontation with the terrible unknown, it can catalyze transformations that reach all the way down into the cellular. And so we abstracted the fight with the predator into the imaginal space. We play out various tactics. Some of them are conserved and transmitted. They adapt themselves to the structure of human memory, and they make the foundation for our most fundamental narratives. Look, you know, the reference I made to Harry Potter, the reference I made to The Lord of the Rings and to the Avengers, these aren't casual references. You know,
These are professional references. Benekagami says, personally, I see Peterson as a great case study of humanity. Humans have such an innate trust that others will be honest and follow the same rules as them that they can be easily manipulated by blatantly dishonest pieces of shit like Peterson, that he can grift for a decade exploiting psychological tricks. In other words, Peterson is a great case study on why parasites are the most successful form of multicellular life forms. Ooh.
we spend most of our high-end computational power generating fictional worlds where we can portray meme battles so that everyone can observe them.
Yes. So lion as genetic, dragon as mimetic. Richard, this concept of the dragon as the abstracted predator as a whole.
I gotta address this. What if someone is against transgender ideology but still loves transgender individuals? Does that make someone a transphobe too? Can you define transgender ideology for me, Netstorm? I'd love to hear what the fuck you think transgender ideology means. Imagine if someone came in and was like, what if I hate, quote, black ideology, but I love black individuals? Like, what the fuck does that mean, you psycho? Like, what are you talking about? Okay. Okay, so you're not cool with trans people, Netstorm, and you fundamentally don't even understand what trans people are, if that's your response. I don't know what else to tell you. Stop listening to Jordan Peterson, please.
Can we talk meaningfully about the truth in these stories, where instead of talking about a predator or this predator or that predator, we're talking about the concept of predators as a whole?
The dragon's a meme.
Yes.
The dragon's a meme.
Yeah.
The dragon's a meme! I know he means in the memetic sense. I'm familiar with Richard Dawkins' work on the selfish gene, I know.
Deep meme.
Deep meme! Okay. What other stupid nonsense do we have? Oh my god. Is this person gonna say to take nicotine?
How do you feel about nicotine?
Let me check.
Is that what that spray is? You're not on the Zyn? You're on the spray? I've never seen that spray. I was going to ask you too, and then I was like, yeah, that's normal.
Yeah, it's normal for me. I go through phases. I'm at a high phase. So...
He's not wrong in that respect. It is a deep meme, true. And thank you, Heavy Rains, for following.
It is, other than caffeine, nicotine is the most studied nootropic on the planet.
Yeah.
And I've never smoked. Smoking's bad for you. And
Well, at least they're saying smoking's bad for you. That's good. Let's see what else we got. Amber says, Dawkins' memetics is not well received amongst working linguists and anthropologists, by the way. Let me see if we have anything else interesting from Jordan Peterson's daughter. I don't think so. Let's see if we have any more Jordan stuff.
You got bullied, right? You talked all the time.
Not everybody gets bullied.
But some people are bullied more than others.
My son Anthony is overweight. His friends used to tease him and ridicule him.
Oh, Jesus. That's gonna be depressing. Do something funny. Oh no, we had Scott Adams on! Scott Adams is a literal white supremacist! Oh fuck! Oh no!
Viewers know that I have terminal cancer, prostate cancer that's metastasized. And once it metastasized, you don't have the options of curing it like you would if it was localized. So part of my
Oh my god, I don't know if I've seen his intro before.
Most of us know Scott Adams as the creator of the world-famous Dilbert cartoon.
Is Dilbert world famous? Like, if I go to Taiwan, are they gonna know Dilbert? I don't know about that. I barely know Dilbert, and I'm very well versed on 20th century pop culture.
Wherein for decades he offered a satirical critique of corporate culture and office life. But Adams is also a sage, and a suffering sage. In mid-May, he announced that he had received a prostate cancer diagnosis, which is most likely terminal.
Do you remember that he announced that because people were, like, Republicans were making fun of Joe Biden having something, and Scott Adams was like, you shouldn't make fun of this. By the way, I have stage 4 cancer.
We spoke at length about his career, about his strange life, about the role of faith and affirmation in his movement forward, about technology, about optimism and service, and much more. Join us. It's a great conversation. First, I'd like to thank you for two things. For Dilbert and
Firstly, I'd like to thank you for Dilbert. Imagine you're just like a huge piece of shit like Scott Adams is, and all that you're gonna leave that people are gonna remember you by are your white supremacist bullshit talking points that you had in later life, and also Dilbert. Thank you for Dilbert, sir. Thank you for your service. Oh, man. It's not even like it was Family Circus or BC.
also on behalf of my son for Dilbert, because he was an immense Dilbert's fan when he was younger than he is now. And I spent a lot.
Is Jordan Peterson's son okay? What child is, like, super into Dilbert? I was a Garfield kid. I used to go to the library and get the Garfield comic books that had, like, years worth of newspaper strips.
A lot of enjoyable.
Jim Davis is foundational to my personality, which is depressing.
Time reading Dilbert, and so it's great to what? It's a little bit of satirical lightness in a world that's often lacks humor. So thank you for that. And also thank you more personally. You wrote a cartoon about me.
All right. If you keep this up, Netstorm, I'm just going to ban you for sea lioning, because you're clearly sea lioning, and it's fucking exhausting. So, like, if you want answers to questions, you could go look for them, but you don't want to do that. You want to come into a chat. What's sea lioning? Okay, Jan.
When I was
You can Google that, too.
I'm still in the midst of my interminable war with the College of Psychologists in Ontario. And I don't think they were very happy about that. I certainly hope not. Apparently, I'm to be re-educated this month.
Okay. The fact that you're saying you've looked for them and can't find them, total bullshit. Later, friendo. Good luck finding another channel to put up with the sea lioning.
So I'm dead serious. They've reduced my penalty to 1 2-hour session by Zoom, which I'm supposed to keep private, but certainly will not. So,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, well, I think part of their problem is that everything I said turned out to be correct. And so that's kind of annoying 3 or 4 years later. So thank you anyways. Much appreciated for Dilbert and for the personal touch as well.
Glad to help. You know, I should add that I owe you an apology for something you might not be aware of.
Okay.
When you first burst onto the scene and became sort of the biggest thing everywhere, I had not yet been exposed to your content, but when I was doing my podcasts, the chat would turn into just a nonstop, what do you think of Jordan Peterson? And I had to start blocking people because it just completely took over my podcast. And then finally, after, it must have been months and months of that, I thought, all right, I'm going to go look at your content. And I thought, I get it now. I completely understand why everybody was pestering me. Because when I watched your content, I had this weird sensation that I was like the less educated form of you, meaning.
Oh, God. How low does your self-esteem have to be to conceptualize your self-image as less educated Jordan Peterson? Jesus Christ. That's so depressing. This man is dying, too. This is what you're spending your last months or years doing? Oh, God.
That I largely agreed with everything you were saying.
Peep Lord says, oh god, I was a Dilbert kid. The 99 TV show slapped and still does. This might be revealing that I liked Dilbert at 8 years old. This video makes me, like cancer and demons. Glad I have therapy later. Love you.
But I didn't have the science, behind it. So that was like a big awakening for me. And then I got hooked on your content and absorbed a lot of it.
Well, so apparently
That's funny because Jordan's hooked on benzos. Small world.
we were approximately equally reprehensible. Is that the moral of the story?
Well, whatever you were saying was certainly hitting with a lot of people, including me. So I guess we're all reprehensible.
Yep. Fennikagami says, trolls are not really getting that people are catching on to their shit and we're done with it. Yeah, I think the past decade is, kind of illustrated why engaging with trolls is probably not a good idea.
Yes, well, we've certainly moved to the point where many of us are reprehensible. So although maybe things are shifting back to something approximating whatever kind of sanity we might be able to accomplish, I see that UPenn stripped Will Thomas of his medals 2 days ago.
Keep an eye out, mods. There's probably someone who just came in that's,
And so I'm always thrilled when a 6'5" man no longer gets to have medals in a female swimming competition. And to me,
ha ha ha, trans women, am I right? Am I right? Ha 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 ha.
That's a sign of sanity, but that's, I suppose, part of being reprehensible. And I don't know, how are you feeling about the current
Out goes the troll, in comes the alt. I'm shitting you not. I shit you not either. The secondary account is called Chris Kyle 1776. The fucking guy the American Sniper movie is based on that said he was shooting people during Katrina. I shit you not. The fucking asshole. What a funny name. Steve with the Q says, this framing makes it look like they're sitting next to each other on a bus stop talking, but make sure not to make eye contact.
zeitgeist, let's say?
Well, it's incredible. The fact that Trump is doing so many things he said he would do, and he's doing it as fast as possible, maybe because the midterms could disrupt things. But now I'm mostly worried about how long it will last. Because all it takes is one election and everything goes back to where it was. And, that would be pretty intolerable to me. But at the moment...
If it makes you feel better, No, don't make that joke! Peep Lord says, oldie but goodie, wrestler announcing voice, Jordan B. Benzos Peterson!
It just feels like nonstop, goodness. I saw people were trending, the golden age has begun this morning. So...
all of our international relationships irrevocably fucking destroyed, prices up, military invading fucking Democrat states because Trump is a piss baby. Yeah, everything's going awesome. We literally have American Gestapo now. Everything's great, isn't it?
At least half of the country
This is from 2 months ago.
thinks things are great. And then I see the other half, I like to call it two movies on one screen. The other half of the country thinks they're living in some kind of, nightmare hellscape.
Yeah, it's not great. Fun fact. I gotta stop this video, otherwise I'm gonna say some things about Scott Adams that I shouldn't say on Twitch. So let's move on. Someone sent me this thing of the guy behind PragerU. I guess he's not doing well. I guess let's see how he's doing.
I have had such vivid dreams about moving my limbs that when I...
What happened to Dennis Prager? Wait, what? What the fuck happened? Did he get Christopher Reeve? Did he fall off a horse? Wait, what? I have missed this entirely. What the fuck? Oh my god. Nope. Can't say that. Can't say any of these things. Can't say any of these things. Nope. 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 Okay, we can't cover this because people in chat are already being dicks. Nope. Not allowed. Not allowed. Thanks, everyone. Jesus Christ. Y'all have no fucking chill. Could you, like, not? God. I gotta delete some of these fucking comments now. Give me a second. How many times have I told you people you cannot wish ill on people? How many times? Alright. I got rid of the ones I needed to get rid of. Knock it off. Dillis Filler says, palate cleanser. This is from a gay YouTuber and he makes fun of lots of people like Peterson. Okay.
My first claim, I'm gay and I'm stupid.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Overthought, thanks for gifting 5 tier 1 subs.
You're so damn daft that you've got no bitches, you've got no green, no stacks, and no riches. You're a dimwit nutsack with no tricks and no game. You haven't grown up, you're just more of the same. Your positions are wrong, so listen up, Sonny. I cut off my dong to make room for more money, but I like to do keep before I fart. Well, of course, Jesus, talk about putting the cart before the horse.
Hi, nice to meet you.
How are you doing?
Whoever edited this is wonderful. Oh, Very Tall Bart. I'm actually familiar with this person, I think. I think I've seen some of their edits before. Okay. Peep Lord with 40-bit says he didn't fall off a horse, but he did promise a pony to the kid he fell off of. I don't get it.
Could you explain that question?
No.
So to respond to that, can we go back? Can we stay on what we were talking about?
Jamie went golfing this weekend with Who Killed Kennedy.
Really?
He's dead now.
Isn't that sad? Well, why not have a machine shovel rocks into your butt, which is painful and annoying, but absolutely necessary? Well, because the people who want a machine to shovel rocks into their butts are always the death of everything. That's Peter Pan, right? And then you might say, well, so what? Because you're getting what you want. Well, the people who have the most sex never come. That's why Pinocchio has to go into the belly of the whale. And then the mothers, the naive mothers, come flooding out.
What the fuck are you talking about? Like, why are you talking to me like that?
Have you encountered the nightmare men?
Yes. There's a lot of them.
That was beautiful. That was a beautiful cleanse. Thank you so much for that. Oh. Do I even want to watch the Jubilee thing? It's so bad. I've seen the clips. There's got to be better Jordan Peterson than that. Oh, you're calling him a pedophile. Great. It's funny that all those videos are like over an hour long, too. Conciseness has ever been His big thing, huh? Oh my god, he did a whole thing about parenting?
There is nothing you'll do in life that's more challenging, difficult.
His daughter dated Andrew Tate. I think that definitely means that, you shouldn't trust his parenting advice, right?
And rewarding than being a parent. Nothing with greater highs or lower lows. You have little kids for a very short period of time. It is a major mistake not to notice that and not to appreciate it.
We're dealing with a pattern of misbehaviors with our son, who's 3 years old. Whenever we want to leave the house, he starts running away.
We have to be places at certain times.
When a disciplinary issue arises, you need to make space to master it. I have to not do what I thought I was going to do for 10 minutes to set this right.
Our 13-year-old throws tantrums quite often when he doesn't get his way. We spoiled the heck.
Was this even ever a speciality of his? Like, he was into, like, Jungian psychology. Like, he didn't ever specialize in treating children or anything like that. Why would he, yeah, rachiology. He doesn't have any specific qualifications on childhood development, to my knowledge, so why would he be the person for this? This is bullshit. Fennec Kagami says, I love that these people think that they're winning when the intellectual architect of the current administration, Curtis Yarvin, feels that things are going so bad for Trump now that he's planning to flee the country to avoid the backlash. We can only hope, and for the love of God, chaps, stop Fed posting, right? Do you guys want me to get arrested for being a member of the very real organization Antifa? Seriously, though, you're gonna get me killed. Knock it off.
Heck out of him.
When you spoil a child, so to speak, you take away from them the opportunity to develop their own competence by doing too many things for them. The consequences of his abdication of thought is that other people think for him. That's what'll happen.
Our daughter was bullied at her school.
As this is happening, our son turned to some substance abuse.
Look for mood changes and behavioral changes, and then you can tell your kid, look, it might be an unpleasant conversation that we have to have, but I'm not going to let you be miserable and drift away.
Look, there's nothing wrong with crying. I cry. Crying is a healthy human emotional behavior. I genuinely think the amount that Jordan Peterson cries about relatively benign things that adults should be able to talk about without crying is indicative of some sort of emotional instability. Like, it's so wild that he does it consistently.
Discuss the disciplinary strategies. Discuss the rules. Discuss what it is that you want from your child. Talk that through so that you're the same person. The more effective you are in laying out these disciplinary rules, the more they'll like you. Rules consistently applied with minimal force and plenty of patience. You don't want
minimal force. That's an interesting phrasing.
to let your worry destroy the pleasures of the moment. Just because children know less about the world doesn't mean they're not paying attention, and it certainly doesn't mean that they're stupid. They're not stupid, and they're watching.
Boy, I can't imagine why Daily Wire Plus is struggling so hard. Their programming is so interesting. Is there anything else? We gotta cover more, right?
It's very distressing to see people whose families are fragmented because it just curdles your soul.
How far should I go for someone who I care about but who refuses to get professional help?
How do I know
It's so dramatic!
if I'm actually building with something more?
If there is a substantial...
Harold Elbelman with 40 bits says, I was a Dilbert kid teen after Calvin and Hobbes and The Far Side. It wasn't much of a leap. and credit the earlier work with some of my educational early radicalization, especially the audiobooks like Nameless, Blameless, and Shameless, a guide on surviving corporate America, which has a whole chapter on how C-suites are the epitome of the title. I used to wonder how he went wrong, but the discovery that he just drew what came in from his inbox and never really understood clarified things. Did he say that? What does that even mean?
Seems to me unwise to reproduce things being this uncertain.
Well,
Yeah, Daily Wire Plus had to cut their entire children's programming department, including their ripoff of Bluey starring Rob Schneider. Sorry, the phrase Bluey ripoff starring Rob Schneider it's something.
What are you doing when you're talking to someone? You're thinking. Why would you think? To specify a problem and to solve it. You know,
Green guy with the tip set is talking about poop, okay? You know my feelings on this.
it sounds to me like you're setting yourself up as someone who could be maybe an excellent husband and father. You know, you've evaluated your life and you've come to some new conclusions and you've developed some new daring and you're becoming more educated. It's like, share that with someone.
Do you like my Jordan Peterson bust?
I really don't know what to think.
You have a bust of your dad? That's so weird. What? Just give a photo like a normal person. You had a bust made? Fennikagami says, maybe America would be in a better position if Canada and Britain stopped deporting all their trash into our nation. Maybe evil Canadians are the real immigrants we need to get rid of. No. Do you know how many world-class comedians come from Canada? Most of them. Most good comedians are Canadian. Or Jewish. Or both.
Think of it.
It'd be weird if you owned it.
I think it's weird also that you own it.
Audrey Stardust, thanks for following. If you take away the kids in the hall, it's over. I will join the Civil War if you take away the kids in the hall. I need my brain candy.
Okay, let's get this show on the road. We thought it might be a fun idea or an interesting idea to take questions from your audience and have you do what you do best and try to help some people if they need help. And maybe the questions will be applicable to a lot of people. So I think it should be fun. We're going to give this a shot. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm Michaela, by the way, if people don't know who I am.
That would be She's My Daughter.
That would be She's My Daughter.
Oh, yeah.
And a perfectly fine person in her own right as well.
Well, thank you. I think that was a compliment, so I'll take it. Are we ready?
Most comedians are sellouts anyway. Oh, the Saudi Arabia thing. Look, I already had some misgivings about Bill Burr, but at least on some level I thought, like, I don't agree with everything he says, but he does speak out against, like, rich assholes and corporate bullshit. And then he fucking takes a job performing in Saudi Arabia. Go fuck yourself, Bill, you asshole, you hypocritical piece of shit. Just ridiculous. Ugh. Medicated person with a 5-stream streak says, I don't want to read that. Or no, there was some, oh wait, sorry, that was a different message. Why are people saying that about Michaela Peterson? Why are you saying that, New Shine Dark? Like, what are you talking about? It feels, sexist and weird unless there's something I don't know? Like, what are you talking about?
Number one, should we just jump into it?
Let's go.
Okay.
What is your opinion or feedback about what you've seen about
Look at him what is he closing his eyes for?
relationships being successful if there is a substantial age gap of, let's say, 10, 15 years? What has been your understanding as to the overall satisfaction of those relationships and the ability for them to be able to be long-lasting and satisfying when compared to relationships with, less than a 10-year age gap or so?
First of all, that's generally a situation with a younger woman and an older man. I'm not going to comment on the reverse situation because it's very rare.
Women live longer.
Her YouTube channel is full of videos talking about Pornhub. Okay? So she's the opposite. She's someone who's anti-porn. Right? So why are you using porn star as a pejorative? Rework the bit. It doesn't work at all, and it just makes it seem like you're being really judgmental about sex workers.
It makes a little bit more sense. That's coming from me.
It violates the social norm again. Like women
It's not a troll. It's just someone making a bad joke.
culturally prefer men who
It happens.
are about 4 years older. And there's a variety of reasons for
Yeah,
that.
I don't know what's going on in chat today. I don't know. I don't know what's
The
going on.
major reason is that a wise woman isn't looking for another child. She's looking for someone who she can rely on to be productive, generous.
I think they're trying to use a thing she hates as a way to insult. Well, that doesn't make any sense, and you shouldn't do that when it indirectly insults a group of people not doing anything wrong. It's like when people look at a homophobic person and go, "What are you, gay?" Like that, what are you doing?
Loving when she's incapacitated or more incapacitated in pregnancy and with young children. And so women, even the score...
She talks too much about porn, then say she has an obsession with trying to talk about pornography as if it is evil, and she denigrates sex workers or something, instead of... Like, do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand why what you're saying just comes off as deranged and does not... It doesn't illustrate any of the points you think you're making. You get that? Midnight, thanks for a 5-stream streak.
Card by looking for men who are mature, and no wonder. And young men have to understand that. A 17-year-old male is not a very marketable creature. Now, there are exceptions to that, spectacularly attractive people who are outstanding in some manner, can leapfrog the game, but basically, men gain advantage as they age. There are women who I've met who are looking for someone who's quite substantially more mature. And there are advantages to that, I think, for a woman, because as men...
Marketable creature. Oh, that's a huge thing. Jordan Peterson helped popularize this idea in his book 12 Rules for Life of this, like, considering the dating pool or like the world of interpersonal romantic relationships, turning it into being perceived as a marketplace, and it's terrible. It's terrible. It's the foundation of a ton of, like, I'm not calling any in particular person this, so I'm allowed to use the word on Twitch. It's the backbone of a lot of incel talking points is viewing interpersonal romantic relationships as a marketplace and quantifying qualities on some sort of, like, value level. It's really bad. It's introduced so many terrible ideas into the discourse surrounding romance and relationships, in particular for young people. Fennikagami says, guys, she's just like Abby Shapiro. She's at this level of influence because of nepotism, not spreading her legs or whatever. Seriously, just call her a dumb blonde because she talks like a valley girl. Stop being weird. Or just dumb. Doesn't even need to be a blonde thing. Why are we attaching all these secondary qualities? Like, what is everyone doing today? You can just say you don't like her. It's fine. Just say you don't like her. Why are we adding all these other adjectives that have nothing to do with what you are critiquing? What is this rhetorical nonsense, people? I would hope I've taught you better than this. What are we doing?
Establish themselves They know more. They have broader social connections. They're more competent. And
I'm sorry. I feel like I'm yelling at everyone today, and I'm really not trying to be a bitch. Like, I know. It just feels like I'm,
more resources. And the other thing, is by the time you're 25...
What I'm trying to say is we are supposed to be better than this, and it feels like I'm getting a lot of responses today that sound like they're coming out of right-wing trolls, just like reversoed, bizarro versions of it, and I'm not a fan of it.
You're about as old as everyone else until they're like 70. You hit that period of maturity.
Green guy with the tip says, I think it's funny that my comments have been put in timeout. I read that one.
Where roughly people are the same age. And so if you're attracted and you're both willing, then I don't see that as a problem that's any more insurmountable than personality differences or the other idiosyncrasies that couples have to contend with.
Do you think it's weird? So I think the difference between, say, 30-year-old woman or 25-year-old woman and 40 or 45-year-old man, that makes more, or if you go up, that kind of makes sense. Do you think it's weird when we see like 35-year-old men who refuse to date anybody who's above the age of 22?
I don't know if there are experiments of this sort, but they'd be easy enough to run.
He's about to say some really weird shit about men. I guarantee it. Fennikagami says, bits to apologize for that. It was in my head. It doesn't help that we're trapped in the muck, but I know your boundaries and I should have thought it out. You're doing your best. Thanks for apologizing. Ashley, what do you want me to wear for the hats off?
If you're after a one-night stand...
Your favorite is a treat? Okay. Where's my witch hat? Oh, it's all the way back here.
When we see like 35-year-old men who refuse to date anybody who's above the age of 22.
I don't know if there are experiments of this sort, but they'd be easy enough to run. If you're after a one-night stand, then why not have a 22-year-old?
No, that totally...
Oh, he said it to his daughter! He said it to his daughter! Oh, no! Gross. Jade's a proxy. Wants me to look up dragon or whatever is close to it in Black's Law. Will do. He just said to his daughter, who is older than 22, if you're gonna have a one-night stand, why not have a 22-year-old? That's disgusting. That's a disgusting thing to say. Holy shit. Okay, let me find dragon real quick in here. Dragnet, a net that's pulled along the bottom of a river, creek, or lake to dredge up things that may be there. By extension, a system in which the police look for criminals using systemic and thorough methods. Oh, now I get the title of that show. That makes sense. Jesse Courteous with the $10 super chat says, Dave, aka the cute one, was on a couple episodes of Have I Got News for You on YouTube. Guest starred with Jasmine Crockett. I recommend. Okay. Cool beans.
Well, no, but that's it. That's the whole story.
But if it's a relationship...
Yeah, well, then the problems that you just described leap forward madly for anyone who has any sense.
I would be concerned that I was being taken advantage of just from being a 21-year-old.
New Shine Dark says, my comment was about a trend I've noticed. If you search for nofap videos, many are now made by female creators advising men on the topic. However, I find it contradictory that their presentation is often very sexualized and their social media is full of thirst traps. So on that point, I was trying to say Michaela Peterson was doing the same. And all of what you just said is a fair critique. And let me be clear, zero of it came across with what you originally said. If you had said this, I'd be like, oh, insightful, interesting. None of that came across with what you said originally. Zero. Zero of it. So what I'm trying to explain to you is you should say what you mean instead of hoping it comes across in an insult. That's not how anything works. So, if you want to call her a hypocrite, call her a hypocrite. Don't insult her by calling her a sex worker.
Oh, highly like
you thought people knew about this nofap shit? I know about it, but none of what you said came across in what you said. We cannot intuit it. You understand that, right? Even if we do know about the nofap thing, we cannot intuit what you mean. We do not have access to your internal thought processes. So you need to explain it, otherwise it doesn't make sense. Okay.
If I meet other 35-year-old guys, I'm like, if you only date young 20s, is it because anybody who's 30 would see through you?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But
yeah,
once
definitely.
you get above like 25, I don't think it makes that much of a difference.
Yeah, well, the predatory tilt. Look.
I know writers who use subtext and they're all cowards.
Mick, we know the personality characteristics of men who tilt towards one-night stands. That's already been delineated. They tilt in the dark tetrad direction. And so...
Did you know that if you want to hook up with someone, you're apparently a psychopath? Okay.
The 35-year-old men who won't date anyone who's over 23, they're not dating. They're looking for sex with no strings attached.
Not necessarily. What are you talking about? Like, a celebrity example, Leonardo DiCaprio for many years would not date women over 25. So what he's saying is just objectively untrue. There are absolutely men who look for monogamous relationships with women 20 or 30 years their junior. That happens all the time.
And you know...
Yeah, I know the white balance is being weird. Hold on, I'll go into the settings real quick and see if I can turn the auto thing off so it stops screwing up. Now I'm a little purple, but let me adjust this. Closer. There we go. That should do for now. It's not perfect, but it's better than it shifting constantly.
If there was such a thing as sex with no strings attached?
Peeplord says, can I insult her by calling her a liar and a horse jockey? There's just, like, aren't a lot of them, and they're all pretty small, so I'm fine with them catching strays. Come fight me, you bitch-ass herbivore drivers. That was funny.
Then, hey, have at her. But the problem is that that never happens.
I think the argument that they use is, oh, those are women's most fertile years. But you don't see the people doing that getting married and having babies. They're actually more into polyamory, if anything.
Yeah.
What? I don't, the archetypes she's implying, I don't see myself, but okay. Green Guy says women over 40 are hot as fuck. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah. Well, there is a relationship between youth and... There's a relationship between youth and casual sexual attractiveness, the same way there is between maybe overuse of makeup and casual sexual attractiveness.
Oh my God. Stop wearing so much makeup, you whore.
Like, if you're shallow, I'm not exactly saying that attraction to youth and beauty is shallow, but, you know, there are 15, 16-year-old models. They're not uncommon at all.
Yeah.
They're usually quite made up. And that makeup gives them a sexual patina. And it's...
Please don't talk about the, quote, sexual patina of underage girls, Jordan.
very easy if you're male to be attracted sexually by surface. It's a sign of lack of maturity and wisdom. And I'm not trying to make a case against beauty, but there are plenty of beautiful women who are 30. There are plenty of beautiful women who are 50. It gets harder as you get older to maintain that. Your mother has done that extraordinarily well. They're not...
What an insane thing to say to your daughter. It's all right, your mom still gets me going.
Not seeing the whole person.
Yeah.
And that's convenient if what you want to do is have responsibility-free sex. But there's no such thing as responsibility-free sex. That's a complete lie. And so then it's immature. And so those men are immature. It's as simple as that. They're immature. And they're not having a relationship. They're not tying themselves together with someone for the long run. And that cripples them because life is very hard. It's not something you should undertake alone. You will become, you can't be sane alone. I think with regards to the age difference, maybe the one thing you want to ask if you're a young woman with an older man is, you know, are you looking for a father? But then, if you didn't have a father and you're a very young woman, like maybe you need that more mature guidance. Maybe that's valuable to you. Why wouldn't it?
Oh no! He's advocating for your boyfriend to be your daddy. Oh no!
I think as long as you avoid the psychopathic types that are just after naivety, then you're all kind of the same age after a certain point anyway, so it probably doesn't matter. And maybe there are some benefits even, depending on the person.
That's a perfectly reasonable summation.
Dear Dr. Peterson, largely thanks to discovering your lectures as I was going through a very rough patch in 2017, I am now a former truck driver turned part-time security guard and full-time law student. You helped me rediscover meaning, culture, and rekindle the flame that drove me, and I am forever grateful to you. I am, however, less and less optimistic about the future of Western civilization.
I am less optimistic about the future of Western civilization.
It seems that a lot of what
Maybe chill.
gave it meaning is evaporating in front of our eyes, particularly with wokeness working ever so hard to divide us all. It seems to me unwise
Did he just say wokeness is working to divide us all?
to reproduce things being this uncertain. Do you have any words to rekindle my faith that we are still in fact able to create a world that is suitable for children to inherit?
Dr. Peterson, please give me the confidence to do big nuts in my partner so we can have children.
Your story implies that you made less of yourself for some substantial amount of time because of doubt, and that you've shed that, and that's improved your life substantially, enough so that you expressed gratitude for that. My first pass take on what you said is that the same problem is plaguing you in relationship to children. It's always, there isn't a more uncertain thing you can do than to have children. And so it's always been the case throughout human history that you are bringing children into an uncertain world.
I think that's incredibly disingenuous to act as though there aren't time periods that are more or less uncertain than others. It's certainly fair to point out, if you were being a good faith arguer, that there is always some level of uncertainty when you're talking about choosing to have a child and bring a child into the world. But to act as though there is no differentiation between, let's say, 1930s Germany and, I don't know, 1990s United States in terms of, like, when would be a better place to have a child. Come on, are you really trying to tell me that? That's absurd. You're sidestepping the question. Juggle will do. Peeplord says, am I going insane? Is this video mostly this old man using his daughter to, I'm not gonna say that, to lawyer his way into effing teenage girls while shit-talking teenage boys in comparison? Kinda. Also, don't use the word autistic as a descriptor like that, please. Not a fan. Telling you, chat today.
You're coping with the uncertainty in life by picking a challenging and responsibility-laden pathway forward in your private life. Don't stop. I would say the same with regards to marriage. Find someone and take the risk. And then the same with children. And figure it out as you move forward. I think that there's a diverse enough range of...
Thank you, Feisty as Bard, for being good.
...opportunity and risk in the future, so that a generic notion like things are too unstable is not the right level of resolution to address the issue. The question is, would you take on the responsibility and the adventure of producing a microenvironment within your own family that enables you to marry and to have children and to produce something for the future in a way that best enables your children?
Like, how do I put this? I don't know what's going on with chat today. I don't do Chud Watch very often, but I'm afraid people think it's an opportunity to, like, be assholes. I know that the show is snarky, and I make jokes, and I can be even a little mean sometimes, but, like, Chud Watch is not an opportunity for you to bully someone just because they suck. We talk about the things that they're wrong about and that are harmful. It's not an opportunity to find a target that's okay to say insulting things at. And again, you can insult the things they believe that they're saying, or even them as people, but you're using it as an opportunity to fight these proxy battles, like someone saying, like, oh, Michaela Peterson's a dumb blonde. Like, what does that have to do with anything? How many blonde women are in my audience who all of a sudden feel like shit because you decided in my chat that you found a target that you can shit on based on some arbitrary quality about their appearance? You know what I mean? Like, do you see how fucked up that is? Like, someone being a bad person is not an opportunity to point out aesthetic qualities you don't like about them in order to try and connect it to their negative moral qualities. Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know how to articulate this to you guys if you don't get it. Like, what are you guys doing? Like, I don't know if I want to do Chud Watch anymore if this is, like, how it is. Like, what's happening today? Veltwind with a $10 super chat says, for Hannah having to deal with chat today. Thank you.
To move forward with security and daring into the future.
Like, let me give you an example. I am overweight, so I'll use this as an example. Like, imagine if we were watching a Chud who was also overweight, and someone in chat said, yeah, that fat fuck. Like, are we criticizing them because they're a Chud, or do you just see an opportunity to bully someone while feeling like you have the moral high ground because they did something bad, all of a sudden you think it's okay to target other things about the person that not only apply to that person, but tons of people. So indirectly, you're insulting everyone with those secondary qualities. Like, I just don't get it. I don't get what we're doing, guys. Like, it makes me feel like this is what you think I'm doing. It makes me feel like you don't even understand what I'm trying to do through streams, right? Like, I'm certainly trying to entertain people, but I also genuinely want to critique aspects of beliefs in society that I think are bad. And if all you guys think I'm doing is coming on here and insulting people, because that's what it seems like you're perceiving it as, like, am I not a bad person then? You know what I mean? If everyone is missing the point and just think, like, it's time to go bully people we don't like, then what am I doing? You know what I mean? Anyway.
And you already know you can do this in principle because you've already taken radical steps in the last few years to put your life on a new course. Because you could say the same thing about the judiciary becoming corrupt and law schools becoming woke and everything
law schools becoming woke,
shaking to its foundations. And you could use that as a justification for your refusal to move forward in faith and with courage. But you're not. And you said yourself that things are way better because of your new attitude. Well, so continue with the risk. You know, it sounds to me like you're setting yourself up as someone who could be maybe an excellent husband and father. And, you know, you've evaluated your life and you've come to some new conclusions and you've developed some new daring and you're becoming more educated. It's like...
Green guy says, that stupid Chud and his student loan department or his student loan debt.
Share that with someone and pass on the benefits to your children who will love you, which is there's no better deal than that, by the way, too, you know. There's no better deal than a family and people who love you. And that's worth a risk, and it's worth a risk for them. And there's no better pathway forward than to maintain your faith in yourself and in the spirit of life itself. And if you lose that or let it waver, then it makes even catastrophe worse. So consider it a moral obligation to have faith in be fruitful and multiply.
Oh, gross.
It's a pro-existence stance. And if you're opposed
you can be pro-existence and not want children.
to your own existence, then who can save you?
You don't have to be Malthusian to be child-free. Fun fact.
You can also create this, like you were talking about.
Does Peterson think all people should have kids by default? Almost certainly.
About this little microcosm in your home for your kids to grow up.
Yeah, it's a little 14-wordsy.
Up in. And then you can help them become extremely competent. Like, this guy sounds competent.
Yep.
He's in law school. He's obviously gone through a number of
You don't know enough about him to say he's competent or not.
jobs and become more and more successful and gotten over some personal stuff. Like, so he seems competent. But if you raise your kids right and you build confidence in themselves, then they can go out into this chaotic world.
And find opportunity.
And find opportunity too.
Yeah.
The 14 words are a white supremacist phrase that consists of 14 words. Something along this is not verbatim. It's something along and don't post it. Someone's going to go, I'll go copy paste it. Don't do that. It's something along the lines of, like, we need to preserve a future for the future of, like, white children. It's a white supremacist thing. Fennikagami says, I think a lot of this is partly because we had 9 months of dealing with all these monsters coming out of the woodwork because of the fascists running our country, and we want to tone match them. Well, we should do better than that. Plus, mockery is how you fight fascism. However, you're right that if we aren't careful, it's a slippery slope to become like these people. I hear Michaela's talk and I think, God, why does she sound like a blonde stereotype? Hence my joke earlier. I think that's something that you should probably introspect on, because that's not a very healthy thing to think about someone, to generalize based on something like that.
Yeah, well, and there's not that
But I don't want to talk about it anymore, so let's stop talking about it.
much difference between a problem and an opportunity. Like a world full of problems is, well, you could solve those problems. And if there's a problem and you solve it, then you have an opportunity. And so a world where everything was taken care of would actually be a world without opportunity. So don't underestimate the utility of your children's competence and your role in encouraging that development.
I like that.
And good luck. And congratulations also. Seriously. I want to tell you all why my team and I founded Peterson Academy. First, it's because the technology is there. It's now possible.
The technology is there. We can post videos to the internet.
To identify and gather the greatest lecturers and thinkers alive today, and to put them in a position where they can offer their best to all who are interested. Second, advanced education is far more expensive than necessary. Students...
Jordan, your university isn't a real university. There's no accreditation. If I was an HR person and I saw someone put Jordan Peterson University on their resume, it would go directly into the shredder.
who complete a 4-year degree risk crippling themselves with debt just when they're starting their lives and their careers. Third reason, because of ideological and institutional corruption. I watched that.
Green Guy says, off topic, stuff going on in my life. I'm retiring from the Navy after 20 years and it's been taking a while. All I'm waiting on is a date. I emailed the people and get auto 3 emails back and they're all furloughed. Ooh, that sucks. Hope the government reopens soon. And Fenny Kagami says, any thoughts on why Jordan thinks these shitty suits are a good look? He's going for a pseudo-intellectual, or he's going for intellectual. He's hitting pseudo-intellectual. So he wants to look like he's dressed like $1,000,000. He's trying to look like smart, sharp, intellectual guy.
Process painfully unfold.
He's a very aesthetic man. And that's what he's going for.
40 years at McGill.
Fennikagami, thanks for a 10-stream streak.
Harvard, at the University of Toronto. What's the alternative at Peterson Academy? Well, we have 40 stellar professors on board. We have 34 8-hour courses taught at the highest level of quality and with maximum efficiency. And there's much more to come. Find your purpose, sharpen your wit, and bring to bear on your own life the knowledge being offered to you by the best in the world. Go to petersonacademy.com for the details. Enroll and change your life.
We've been a traditional family for 50 years, enjoying the usual family gatherings, birthdays, Christmas, etc. We have 2 children, 6 grandchildren. Our oldest son has been with his partner for 20 years, and they have 4 children, ages 9 to 17. In the last 2 years, our son helped a woman who was in an abusive relationship, and she and her son became part of their family. It became apparent last year they are now in a polyamorous relationship. Also, our 17-year-old granddaughter is now a grandson. My husband and I...
Oh no, this is just going to be bitching about shit they don't understand. Oh God. Ah!
Can work around the ladder, but cannot bring ourselves to accept the polyamorous relationship as we...
Imagine talking about your kid like that. I'll work around the fact that they're trans. I hope your kid cuts you off, you fucking shit. Dillis Filler says, Prince Albert. Oh, just Peterson Academy.
We have not, and as we have not accepted it completely, we are now estranged from them. They have taken a different road, and we can't seem to find a middle road to gather with them. Any help?
Hey, man, it's not your business. Look, your kid's gonna do what they're gonna do. They're an adult, presumably. I didn't hear the age. I'm sorry if they said that. It's not your business. Your job is to love your kid, and that's what they're doing. So get over yourself. Holy shit.
Would be appreciated. Thank you.
Well, the first
grandkid, the poly couple is her son, the grandchild is trans. Gotcha.
First thing I would say is that might be useful for everybody listening is that you deviate from the norm much less the ideal, at your extreme peril.
Oh, so we're doing fear tactics. You better get in line, or else people like me will judge you and make your life hard. Go fuck yourself.
No, when people came to see me who were unhappy and unfulfilled and often didn't know what to do with their lives, one of the guidelines that I used to help me and them navigate was, you should do what everyone else does.
What a terrible, terrible psychologist. Can you imagine? You're his fucking patient and he says that shit. Oh my god. I hope that he hasn't seen patients in years, because it sounds like he was terrible at it. Wow.
Unless you have a really good reason not to. Now, polyamory. Well, first of all, what the hell is that? Just...
It's what the gang from Scooby-Doo was doing, obviously. Jesus. I need that as a sound clip. What the hell is that?
Well, first of all, what the hell is that? Just because some dim-witted leftist hedonists came up with it.
Jordan! Leftists didn't invent the concept of plural relationships. What are you talking about?
The new word doesn't mean that anything
Bittergrin says, but Jordan, the Bible and mythology are full of men with multiple wives, so shouldn't you support this, right?
like that exists. It's already very, very difficult to negotiate a relationship over the long run. Let's call it a marriage. If you stay religiously within the normative parameters. Now you want to extend that beyond that. That's your theory. You think you're going to be sophisticated enough to negotiate the jealousies, the split of time, the perilous risks of intimacy with more than one person. And you think you're going to do that well, and that everyone else around you is going to know how to deal with that. Well, every single bit of that's delusional. Monogamy.
Except there are tons of polyamorous relationships in the world. So, like, I'm not going to say that there aren't more difficulties that might come along with that. There's more moving parts. That's inevitably going to maybe cause potential issues. But so what? The same could be said of different monogamous relationships, where certain relationships might have more difficulties or moving parts than the others. People can do what they want, as long as they're consenting adults. Who the fuck cares?
Monogamy is a universal norm and ideal. Not because people don't have proclivities in other directions, but because the human race hasn't found a solution that's stable, all things considered, balancing the needs of children, men and women, and society. There's no solution to that problem other than monogamy. And I would also say you're doing something that's bad by entering into a polyamorous relationship.
Sorry, Altered Undying, I missed that. Altered Undying says, he hasn't seen them in ages. One of the reasons he lost his license, he was ditching them to be famous, or so I understand.
Relationship. You're destabilizing the social norm. And for what? For your own...
Man, social norms are so easily destabilized. Maybe they aren't meant to stay forever. Social norms change constantly.
benefit for your own hypothetical benefit. First of all, that's a little on the selfish side, I might say. The guardrails are there for a reason. And you hope that your parents can somehow adapt to that.
It's none of their fucking business. What the fuck is this? You're gonna decide your relationships based on what your parents think of it? Are you insane? Guess what? Your parents will be dead someday, and it's just gonna be you and the life you built. You're gonna make decisions based on what those fuckers think? Are you crazy? Fennikagami says, Jordan, I have misogyny I clearly need to work on. I am vanilla as shit, raised Christian, cis, straight, and mayo. How the F have I my entire life grasped the concept that it's possible to romantically love multiple people better than a psychiatrist with a PhD?
And that what? They're supposed to just say it's all right? That's what they're going to do if they love you. They're not going to raise any objections to your...
You can do whatever you want, but if you're gonna be a disapproving asshole about people's relationships, don't be surprised when they don't want to deal with you. Everything's conditional. That's life. Unconditional love doesn't exist. I don't believe in it. Bittergrin says, wait, disrupting social norms, so his reason for being against polyamory is think of other people's marriages? Basically, yeah.
Your strange experiment. And it's not like they knew the rules. Like, what are the rules? Oh, my son has 2 wives. Well, no one knows what to do with that. And so...
Jordan seems very scared of social situations for which he does not already have a pre-approved script. Have you ever noticed that? He's argued this in other contexts, too, where he's like, well, what do you do with that? Like, the fact that you don't have a pre-approved social script is not an argument that people shouldn't do a thing just because you don't already have a pre-made, like, way to navigate that situation. That's crazy. That's selfish. That's narcissistic, thinking everyone in society around you needs to organize themselves in such a way that it's easiest for you to go through pre-written social scripts.
What that generally means, if you're exceptional, is that people aren't going to have much to do with you because you're too damn much
All right, that's a funny name.
trouble.
What would you do if...
Can't tell if it's a troll yet, but hi, Ram Ranch Survivor 69. Don't make me play Ram Ranch.
If I had been in that situation, like, is a bit of it dependent on how old they are? Like, if these are people who are, I don't know, mid-20s maybe, and they're like, I'm going to give this a shot. I can do it. I'm one of those people that can navigate basically an open relationship. Like, what if I had...
Open relationships are a different thing than polyamory.
In my head,
for the record,
that was me. Would it be like...
I think I would have fought with you until I knew what the hell was going on. Like, that's my general proclivity.
Reminder again that she dated Andrew Tate, a literal sex trafficker, and she's criticizing polyamory. Overthought, thanks for gifting a sub to Ram Ranch Survivor.
The woman who asked this question, there's not a lot of detail in the question, so I don't know exactly why they're alienated. And it's a terrible thing to be alienated from your children.
Have you considered that they're alienated because they're disapproving, judgmental fuckwits? I think it's probably that one.
Children.
Maybe they just said, we don't agree with your lifestyle and we need a boundary here. But should the boundary be as far as we don't talk to you anymore? Or should it be like, we love you, we don't think this lifestyle is good for you or the people around you or potential children you're going to have?
Michaela, my suspicions are, look, if you stay within the boundaries of the norm, everybody knows what to do. There's a script. You know how to have Thanksgiving dinner together. You know how to have Christmas together.
Again, it's all about these pre-approved societal scripts. How interesting. Does he not understand that this is a him problem?
You know how to treat...
That's so crazy.
Your wife, your son's wife's children. Everyone knows that. All right, now, if you...
J. Rodimus with 46 months kicks off a hype train, says, I'm in a long-distance polyamorous age gap relationship in which I'm the younger man, And also, a psych major. I'm also the happiest I've ever been in years, so I've been listening to this in my car for the last hour, both laughing my ass off and fuming. Peterson can go F himself with an actual cactus, and that's just my reaction to his psychology takes. New Shine Dark says, sorry, my dumbass doesn't understand why unconditional love doesn't exist. That's an opinion of mine. It's not, like, an objective fact. I just think everyone has their limits. I have never met a person in my life who does not have some limit that would be like, all right, that's it. You don't have to agree. Stone Corbell, thanks for gifting a sub.
Throw a left curve into that. Well, what are the rules exactly? And the answer to that is you have to negotiate them from scratch for everything. Well, people are terrible at negotiating. And so the problem...
Sweet Lily Love says, how the hell did JP get a PhD in psychology without dealing with basic things like this? I don't know.
...ability that they're going to come...
How about pets? Yeah, but I'd argue that's a bit... Well, let's say your pet ate a baby. You still gonna love your pet if they eat your baby? Like, I know that's an extreme example, but that's the point. I'm saying that there are limits, even if they are extreme limits. Overthought says, Jordan, you know the rules, and so do I.
Come up with a solution for that inside a family is extremely low. You're basically negotiating a whole new social contract.
Okay, that happens all the time. Society is complex and ever-changing, and the relationships between people in that context is also always changing, so we are always in the process of getting rid of old scripts and developing new ones. Welcome to society.
And so
incredibly myopic to act as though the current social scripts we have are like these solid things that have always existed and always will, and any deviation is somehow wrong.
Part of the advantage to marriage is like a serious reduction in complexity.
That's how you're going to talk about marriage? The benefit is it's a reduction in complexity. That's how you're talking about marriage? Your poor wife.
You know, you have someone that you can rely on for the long run. You can make practical and contractual relationships with them. You can chart your course. You don't have to manage the cascading consequences of multiple relationships. And what, all of a sudden they're not going to have sexual jealousy. That's just going to disappear somehow. And
Jordan, not everyone has the level of sexual jealousy that you and many other people have. There are plenty of people. I have friends personally who are in polyamorous relationships, and they would laugh at the concept of sexual jealousy. Like, unironically, I think they probably listening to this laughed at that line, or at least found it amusing. Like, what are you talking about?
And everyone's going to love each other equally. That's going to happen. That never happens. That's never happened anywhere, ever, even once, to any...
Citation? Just saying stuff?
Anyone. It's preposterous. Now, what would I do if that situation arose with my own kids? I don't know if...
Peeplord says, here's money for being bad, but I didn't mean to use the A word as a pejorative. I was trying to describe Peterson's super obvious... I don't think it's fair to armchair diagnose someone. You and your ex-associate also talked about his potential autism in your 12 Rules series. That's how I found out one of his patients got S8 a few times and he shit-talked her, specifically her, for drinking and deserving it. What a professional. I don't remember doing that. Did I say that? Because if I did, then I apologize, and I wouldn't say that now. I don't know if that was me, though, or someone else. Amber says, Jordan, we have 8 partners, all of whom we love deeply. All it takes is a capacity for compassion rather than jealousy, and an ability to communicate. If you're talking about us, yes, we laughed. Called it.
If I'd be the one in our family that would put down the boundary, that might be your mom. You know, because she's probably more capable than me of saying, I'm not going to stand by you while you walk off the...
Congrats on personal growth. Thank you. It's nice to work on new videos I can be proud of. And know that, like, I'm a more mature person. And there's nothing in this video I'm horribly embarrassed by.
Edge of a cliff.
Unlike much of my old work.
Now, I would like to think that I would fight it out because I don't want to have anything between us. And if you were doing something seriously ill-advised, I'd like to hope that the warning signs of that would have been there early, and that we would have worked on it before it became an unmanageable mess.
By that he means I would have browbeat you into doing exactly what I wanted. She looks so sad, doesn't she? She looks so profoundly sad. Freyline with 40 bits says, I've never personally met so many people from so many cultures. The idea that I should shun them because they have different scripts or are outside of my norm than me is disgusting. We meet people with different scripts all the time. It's part of being a good person to learn these scripts and grow. Agreed.
I think for the woman who asked this question, I think probably the problem is that the issue is too vague. You see, now these people...
Peeplord says, hooray, personal growth. I'd give you more money, but my flesh pockets are empty at the moment. Thank you for the bits.
In this situation, they have to think through everything. Okay, how many times a year are we going to meet? Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times? How long are we going to meet? Who's going to come?
Amber says, speaking of, we love you, Trey, and we're using bits to make Hannah say it for us. Mwahaha. Jaden might also be listening, and we love them too. Well, I guess Green Guy can't be the only one using me to flirt with their partner.
What are the rules for engagement? How should we treat everyone? Like, I'd probably counsel them to try one dinner together and have a pretty decent discussion about one dinner beforehand. Who's coming? How long is it going to last? How are we going to treat each other? What would I recommend?
Why does he need so much specificity? Just be a person and talk to them like people. I'm a terrible in social situations. To be clear about this, I do not know social scripts, but I have learned how to cope, right? I have learned coping mechanisms and things that allow me to navigate social situations not as well or as easily as, like, a neurotypical person necessarily, or someone who maybe had more social interaction growing up, so knows the scripts better, but I'm able to navigate things and be able to, most of the time, come off okay. There are some catastrophic failures in my history, let me tell you that, but by and large, I'm not doing the thing Jordan Peterson is doing, which is throwing my hands up and going, I don't understand anything and it's everyone else's fault. It's a me problem, just like it's a Jordan Peterson problem.
Let's be polite like we would be to strangers that we were trying not to offend, right? Because nobody knows what the hell's going on.
Nobody knows what's going on. Your kid's in a polyamorous relationship. That's what's going on. They know. Other people know. This is not some strange, arcane, unknowable thing. What are you talking about?
The table is anomalous and strange. And so maybe you meet at a restaurant, because that's kind of neutral territory. Yeah. And maybe you meet for an hour, or maybe half an hour, or 45 minutes, something like that. And you hope that it doesn't go horribly. And then if that worked, well, if that didn't work, then scale down. If it did work, well, then maybe you could try something a little bit more personal. You know, the problem is that something terribly anomalous has occurred and no one knows what to do about it.
Without knowing family dynamics, like, is the person who's in a polyamorous relationship, why are they doing it? Is it because of the person they're with that's encouraging them? Is it something they want? Or is it to see how their parents will react? You know, like, it could be one of those factors because...
I'm sorry, did she just imply that people in polyamorous relationships are just fucking with their parents to test boundaries? This is a speculation, but I'm very afraid that that's something she's been told when she's done things in her life that Jordan Peterson doesn't like. He's been like, why are you testing my boundaries? Instead of, like, actually addressing her and her desires or her decisions, he just paints it as something she's doing to him. which is not healthy.
Maybe they want boundaries, or maybe they want, hey, you know what? We don't agree with this at all, but we love you anyway and have faith in you figuring it out. Maybe that's the direction they need to go too.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if I was in the situation where I was like, you know what? Polyamory is what I believe in. It's what I want. I can handle it. It's better for me, which is a delusional way of thinking. But if I had convinced myself that was the right thing, and it was in response to my parents, what I would probably want is my parents to say, we don't think this is good for you. You know, it's not about us. We don't think this is good for you and your family. And we're here when you figure it out. We're not going to encourage it. And we don't like it, but we're here.
Okay, I have one more thing to say about this. People like false adventures.
Yeah.
And false adventures are excitement.
Like going on a coma trip to Russia. Yay!
Without responsibility. And what you want to do within the confines of your marriage is find adventure in the marriage responsibly.
What if within the marriage they both want to go on Tinder and find a unicorn to spice up their love life, and then they both find they have feelings for that unicorn? Unicorn is I don't mean a literal unicorn. I don't know if people know the verbiage. That means like a bisexual person that they are basically using as a sexual object within their relationship. Never mind. Don't worry about it.
I mean, there isn't anything better than a sexual relationship with someone you actually love. There's nothing better than that, period. The end. And so if you're not getting that excitement and adventure within your relationship, that's what you should be working on. And that's going to be hard. Like, in order for that...
I'm not reading that one, green guy. You're testing me. See, I'm Jordan Peterson in this situation. You're just saying that to test me. I'm not reading that.
That to happen, there has to be nothing between you. You won't trust each other. You won't let each other go. You won't let yourself go if there's anything between you and your wife, let's say. And you're going to reduplicate every single bloody problem that you had with your wife, with this new person, in all likelihood. People are indefinitely complex. And if you have put your wife in a pumpkin shell and she's not very exciting, then so you have to find someone new. Maybe you could try being a little more sophisticated and using a bit more encouragement, a little more daring, a little more dreaming, some lingerie, you know.
This has nothing. He's completely off the topic of polyamory and acting as though polyamory is the result of a dead bedroom or something, which is so not the case. What the fuck is he talking about?
Clue in. Seriously. All this nonsense. The New Yorker does this all the time. The magazine. Polyamory is the new in thing. It's like, there's no punishment severe enough for people that stupid, except the consequences of their own idiocy. And this is what these parents are afraid of. They're afraid of it, and their children involved. This is not going to work out well. It's never worked out well.
Jordan Peterson is the king of understanding consequences. Man who destroyed his brain by flying to Russia to get into a coma because he didn't want to sit through his benzo withdrawals. Anyway, so that's it for today. 3 hours is more than enough of this nonsense. I think I need to go get a frozen pizza or something. This has been a hell of a stream in the most literal sense possible. Fennikagami says, I'm going to be honest, I think this is an ask they sent themselves. It's possible that this came from a fan, but they're both so profoundly dishonest that I suspect I've seen scummy content creators send themselves asks so they can spout off their shit opinions about stuff, and this feels like that. Could be. Could be. No problem, Ram Ranch. Hope to see you again. We stream all the time and we look at delusional people and weird stuff, and it's a lot of fun. So, what else? The video's doing well. Like I said, I think it probably is close to 10,000 now. Let me look at what we're at. My counter is more up to date than the public one. Yeah, 9,661 views. We're almost at 10,000 views for the medbed video, so that's cool. So I'll be back tomorrow. We might be doing some kind of foil. I'm not sure exactly what we'll be doing. I've been working today a lot on the Cameron video. I'll be working on it again tomorrow. I'm still on the research and clip loaf phase. I think that's about it. I will be streaming tomorrow. So let's see who we're going to raid on Twitch, shall we?
Interesting thing, and because I do writing as well.
We'll raid Cooker28, who shows a bunch of Oh, there's AI! There's an AI thing! I'm not gonna raid. There's an AI thing on the screen that I think was made by Cooker28. So I'm not raiding there. We'll raid Granny. Oh, is this another cat game?
I'm sorry, I'm literally just a cat.
I've been playing Little Kitty Big City a lot. They did an update a little bit ago, and I've been playing the update. So I'm very big on games where you're a cat. Alright. Have a great night, everyone! I will, see you tomorrow. Alright. See y'all later. Have a good night.